Hello, gamers. You're listening to the Short Pause Gaming Podcast. This is episode number 762. And welcome back to another edition of the Short Pause Gaming Podcast. I'm Brent Felsing, and joining me tonight is Mr. Benjamin Boyce. It's just a two-man show this week. We're recording on Friday night. We gave the guys the night off because they held it down so well last week. Big shout-out to Frankie, Bender, and JD for kicking out a show last week when we weren't around, and they nailed it. It was a great show. Thank you guys very, very much.
Thanks, guys.
Appreciate it. So, Mr. Boyce, it's Friday night. You just got home from the Pistons game. They trounced all over the Chicago Bulls. They're not the same team they were back in the day. How was your experience at the new Little Caesars Arena?
Yeah, it's my first time there. You know, this is the first year that Little Caesars is open for the Pistons and the Red Wings. It's a beautiful arena, man. I mean, the screen they have above the court is it's insane. It's like this four-sided cube that's got just a giant HD 4K screen on all sides of it. It's pretty impressive. The seating is interesting too. It's so steep. Like there's really not a lot of real estate between you and the row in front of you. But you're up high, pretty high, like going from row to row. And it's almost like you look over and you can almost see like straight down onto the court. It's more. I mean, you're still off center, but it's much steeper than I typically get from a sporting arena. So it's an interesting look in that way. It goes straight up. It's almost like you're in the rafters once you get up high enough.
Interesting.
But they've got TVs going all the way around the top there. They've got the big, huge one in the center. Pretty much anywhere you sit in the arena, you got a good seat. So that's great for basketball and for hockey. So it's new restaurants in there. It's all fancy and neon. It's just it's a really cool looking place, and I enjoyed my time there, man.
Now, is it safe to assume they weren't serving Domino's pizza?
That is safe to assume, yeah. hot and readies were at the ready.
Now, are the Little Caesars pizza better at Little Caesars Arena than they are at the shops around town, or is it still just as ass?
Well, I sure hope so. I didn't try any of the pizza there, so I don't know, but I'd imagine it's pretty much par for the course.
Yeah,
it's interesting, man, because back when I was a kid or when I was younger, like Little Caesars was very high quality pizza.
Yeah,
like, they used to come in those like white paper bags, and you had to cut them open and pull the pizza out.
Yep,
like those were like really good pizzas back in the day, and then they kind of shuck and jived into this $5 hot and ready thing, but it's been a boon for them. People that want a pizza and that want it right now, like they just go to Little Caesars, pay $5, they've got a large pizza, and they don't really care about the quality of it. So
obviously they don't care about the quality of it. So, well, that's cool, man. I'm glad you had a good time. Before we get into the news, boys, we had a ton of stuff to talk about this week. There's a lot of big happenings in the gaming industry, but quickly, let's talk about what we've been playing this week. The Tuesday Night Indie Spotlight, we played Midnight Deluxe, possibly the easiest platinum trophy ever.
Possibly, yeah. There's some easy ones, like My Name is Mayo. There's some ones that were some games that were strictly created so you get a platinum in a few minutes, but you picked up Midnight Deluxe earlier in the day, Brent. You grabbed it on the Vita. You were at work, and you sent me a message. You were like, man, over the course of a couple hours in between like working and playing a few levels here and there in this game, I grabbed the platinum in this game in just around 2 hours. And I'm like, really?
Mm-hmm.
And then you're like, and it gets better because there's a separate trophy list on the PS4. So you come home from work, you fire up Midnight Deluxe on the PS4, I get another message. Hey, man, I just grabbed the platinum on the PS4 in 30 minutes. So I'm like, wow, this story just keeps getting better and better.
Oh, yeah.
So we were already talking about featuring Midnight Deluxe on the Indie Spotlight. We had a couple other titles in the running, but we eventually chose Midnight Deluxe. It seemed like a cool game, cool aesthetic, interesting puzzle mechanics. Seemed like a good fit for the Spotlight. So we had already planned to feature this game, and now hearing that the platinum trophy is not only obtainable but obtainable in one sitting, then we got even more excited. So instead of just doing a normal indie spotlight, we did a live platinum run on the indie spotlight. So we went ahead and we obtained the platinum in Midnight Deluxe. And it's interesting because you don't have to finish the game to get the platinum. You just have to finish a certain amount of levels, and that's probably a good thing, because had you had to finish every level in that game to get the platinum, probably wouldn't get it, because that game's getting hard. So it's got something like 70 levels. You have to play through 40 of them to get the platinum. They're all quick fire levels. It's I don't know, how would you describe Midnight Deluxe, Brent? It's kind of like golf. It's golf meets like Limbo or Feist or one of those kind of games. So it's got that silhouette aesthetic that we that I've come to adore in like Playdead's titles, and it's got it's almost like Kick and Fennec in a way as well, where you're kind of pulling back on the stick, you're aiming your character around, and you're launching them around the map, trying to figure out how to get them into the goal in the least amount of moves as possible.
Right.
So that's where the golf comparison comes in. You've got this little box character that you're flinging around the map, and sometimes the goal is to get him in there in one shot, like a hole in one. Sometimes it's a 2, sometimes it's a 3. Whatever it is, you could use it as your par or whatever you want to call it. So it's actually pretty fun when you get in there and you start to learn how it plays, and you really have to. You can control the distance or how far back you pull the imaginary like slingshot to launch this guy around the map. So it's and some of these are really tricky, man, to get the right amount of force that you shoot this guy across the map with. You have to really hone your aim to get where you want to go. So it's deceptively difficult when you first start playing the game, and then you get into it and you see what all goes into these levels to get this character where you need to go. So there's some really tough levels in there. We encountered a few of them on the stream. Took me 5-10 minutes to get through some of these levels, which are 5-second levels, which just you trying to fling this character around. So there were some difficult ones in there. We got through it, though. We got the platinum trophy in one sitting there. Took a little bit longer than we anticipated because I sucked complete and total ass on the stream. But we made it through, got the platinum trophy, and for $5, man, you could do a lot worse than spend an evening with Midnight Deluxe. I think it's got some interesting puzzle mechanics. I like the chill piano soundtrack. I love the aesthetics of the game. I think there's a lot going for it for $5, and to get it on the PS4 and the Vita, and have 2 trophy lists and 2 platinum trophies. I mean, hell, that's a hell of a package for $5, man.
Yeah, it's a no-brainer. If you're a trophy hunter and you want to boost your trophy count, go out and pick up Midnight Deluxe. $4.99, cross-buy enabled, 2 separate trophy lists. I mean, it's really easy, and it's a good game. I mean, that's the thing. It's easy to think this is just an easy trophy or easy platinum. It is, but it's actually a pretty good game as well. It's really entertaining to play. Like you said, the soundtrack's really, really good. Very chill, very relaxing, which I'm sure will come into play later in the game. As we mentioned, it gets much more difficult, so you're going to need that music to kind of calm you down a little bit.
Yeah, and had they taken advantage of the trophy system a little bit more than they did, they basically just. I feel like they just made that list for the hunters to get in there and grab that game and wanna try and see if they can get the platinum. But had they really used the trophy system to its intended purpose or to its utmost capabilities, they could have made a really difficult list or a really engaging list that could have taken you through the whole game, and you could have tried to get all the 3 stars, and that's really where the fun of the game comes in, trying to figure out how to get the ball in the hole in the least amount of moves as possible and get those 3-star ratings on the levels. It's got that addicting one more run, just hit the triangle button, you're right back into the action kind of thing. So I like that about the game. Some of the levels are like I said are difficult, they're frustrating. Some of the physics, you're like, what is going on here? But for the most part, it's a pretty cool little puzzle game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think if they would have just tied maybe 2 gold trophies, one to getting all 3 stars on every board, and then one for reaching level 70, it would have made the trophy list a little bit more demanding. But yeah, it is what it is. I got 2 more platinum trophies. My trophy list is starting to look good, so I'm a diehard platinum trophy hunter now, right?
Man, when you open that thing up and you see Midnight Deluxe twice, and you see Resistance, Burning Skies, and you see The Walking Dead, you're just like, man, what a sham.
No, you think, man, he's hardcore.
Hardcore trophy hunter.
So yeah, we finished. We featured Midnight Deluxe, and then earlier in the week we were able to get our hands on a code for Tesla versus Lovecraft, a top-down twin-stick shooter with just an absurd premise, but an entertaining one. And we were able to play through the first couple of levels. Now, this comes out this week. We'll talk about it in a moment on the new release list. Comes out on Tuesday for the PlayStation 4, and it comes out on Friday for the Xbox One and the Nintendo Switch. And 10 Tons just continues to churn out these very entertaining... You know, boys, I mentioned it during the stream. 10 Tons reminds me a lot of Housemarque. They make these cool top-down shooters, these arcade-style games that are just vibrant with colors and great music and taut, intense gameplay. And I feel like 10 Tons is starting to channel a little bit of that Housemarque magic in their titles.
Yeah, I can see some of that, and I think there's a lot of that in Tesla versus Lovecraft.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, it's a goofy premise, but the action is fast paced and intense. The upgrade system is cool. The mech that you call down is really neat. So yeah, I really like what I saw of that game, and I I was like, yeah, this is definitely one I need to get into. This is something right up my alley.
Yeah, so we'll have we have a video up right now. It was running on the Xbox One X. Looks very good, runs very smooth. And then sometime this week we're gonna get another video up of Tesla vs. Lovecraft that's going to feature the co-op mode. Now, again, this is another indie title where it has co-op, but it is local co-op only, no online. But through the power of the PlayStation 4 Share Play feature, we'll have a video up this week showing Tesla vs. Lovecraft cooperative gameplay in action. You can have up to 4 people playing that game cooperatively.
Wow.
Yeah. So
that's you have 4 mechs called down simultaneously. That's pretty beefy.
I gotta imagine they gotta increase the enemy count if you're bringing in 4 people, and then there's gonna be a lot going on the screen if that's the case. So it'll be interesting to see how that game holds up in co-op. So. But yeah, other than that, I think we squeezed in some Destiny. We had a Destiny 2 stream. We did a bunch of milestones. Got hopped into the Iron Banner. Knocked out that. I got my first Iron Banner set, dude. I got all the gear. I was really excited about that. I like the way my character looks now.
You did, man. It's awesome that you got the full set, and we'll have lots more Destiny 2 to talk about later on in the show.
Yes, we will. Speaking of which, let's get back on track. Let's get into the new releases, buddy.
Let's do it. So we're going to power through this release list because the video game news gods blessed us with a lot to talk about this week, especially on Thursday when they just overloaded us with stuff. so we're going to crank through this, and then we'll get to the news because we got a lot of stuff to discuss. So first off, what we missed last week, Battlefield 1's Apocalypse DLC, the final DLC for Battlefield 1, available now for the PS4 and Xbox One. DLCs have been very well received for Battlefield 1. This game continues to chug along at a very good pace. People really seem to be enjoying this game, Brent. Fortnite got its 20-player teams mode, a game we still have to fire up at some point. We've had a few requests to play Fortnite, so this is something that is on our radar, something that we want to do in the near future here. So keep an eye out for that. There will be a short pause Fortnite stream at some point in the near future. Forza 7 got its March car pack plus its latest update for the Xbox One. So if you're interested in that, get in there and check that out. Rainbow Six Siege, the Outbreak event, is live now. That's also something that we played this week, Brent, that we forgot to talk about. But we hopped into Outbreak for a little bit to check out this event. This is a very different Rainbow Six experience. Very different.
Very different.
I mean, this is not the taut, peeking around corners, checking your sides Rainbow Six experience. You're literally you're in a town just barreling through aliens that are coming at you, and infected zombies and these crazy creatures, and you're just unloading clip after clip after clip into these enemies, and it's very difficult. It's extremely difficult. We got housed on all of our attempts that we did that night. There's a stream of this available on our YouTube channel now if you want to check it out and see what it's all about. What was your read on Outbreak though, dude? How did you feel after all was said and done?
I came away thinking, okay, that was a cool mode. It's not what I would want Rainbow Six Siege or any Rainbow Six game to evolve into. We talked about during the stream and a little bit afterwards. I mean, it's a cool palate cleanser. It's a nice change of pace, give you something fresh to try out. But in the end, Rainbow Six Siege will always be about the methodical, tactical gameplay, the base modes that we've come to know and love. But it was just a nice little event. I mean, it ends after a month. and it's kind of a bummer when you think about that, but I have to believe they're going to have more stuff like this planned going forward because of just how much hype this generated and how it seems to be doing very well. I mean, a lot of the sites have written very positive about this mode, so it is a nice addition to the game. But again, Rainbow Six Siege will always be about the tactical gameplay in my book. The 5v5, working together as a team, that's the best part about Rainbow Six.
Yeah, I'm curious what Ubisoft is going to think looking at this, because I read something, I believe that with the start of year 3 here with Rainbow Six Siege, they've had their highest player count that they've ever had in this game, which was like 160,000 or something like that on Steam, concurrent players in Rainbow Six Siege. So that's crazy to think that 3 years into its life, it's achieved its higher player count. And is it because of this Outbreak event, or is it just because there's a new year 3 operators? I would probably guess it has more to do with Outbreak than anything else. Yeah, that there's people jumping in there. So I don't know. Ubisoft's gonna have to take a hard look at this and be like, man, we just like tripled our player count with this event. We might want to think about either doing this more, or maybe we bring this back a little bit more often than we were planning to.
Yeah, no, I think it definitely does. Outbreak is definitely appealing, but we look at some of the numbers. The year 3 season pass on Steam was the 3rd best selling item on Steam, and Outbreak has nothing to do with the season pass. The season pass is just for operators and modes going forward. Anybody can hop into Outbreak. So I mean, Outbreak's a big part of it, but there's just a general interest in Rainbow Six Siege and the season pass and getting back into that gameplay, and it's a testament to the base modes of the game, the base experience of the game, for people to have that season pass be 3rd on the Steam list. That's really impressive.
Yeah, definitely. So we'll have to get in there and try that out some more. There's another difficulty as well, which turns on friendly fire. Jeez. Which there's so much shooting and stuff going on that it's hard to imagine this mode with friendly fire on with harder enemies. So
I think the thing that we did wrong, though, I mean, I was watching the stream again, and there were some spots where you can take time to fortify.
Yeah.
But if you do something like if you plan a charge, it starts the next wave. And there were a couple times where I think either myself or the guy that we were playing with just went in and planted the charge in one section. We didn't get a chance to fortify, so we were overrun pretty quick, And I think if we get a Tachanka in there, have that turret set up in a corner, and then have the other 2 guys watching doors and kind of setting up the defenses so it kind of funnels the alien suits, I think we could do a better job managing. And because basically the way we were playing, it was just straight chaos. We're running around, shooting at everything in sight. And if friendly fire would have been on, that round would have been over much, much sooner.
Yeah, I mean, it's overwhelming, man. I mean, you're just getting enemies just rushing at you from all sides, and some of these are like the big like sub-boss style enemies, like that witch that flies around and shoots stuff at you, or that big hulking like brute thing that you have to kill it through its weak spot on its back. There's some beefy enemies in there, but it's a cool event, man. I would definitely like to get in there and give it a few more goes before it evaporates in a few weeks here.
One last thing I want to ask you about that, boys, about that game mode is how did you feel about the movement style and the shooting mechanics? Because obviously Rainbow Six Siege is built as a slow-moving tactical shooter, and now all of a sudden you're thrust into a situation where it's almost like Call of Duty Zombies. It's more of a run-and-gun experience. Do you feel like the move set, or I'm sorry, the move mechanics and the gameplay mechanics transitioned well to a much more higher-paced gameplay?
Not necessarily. I mean, it's the guns, and like you said, the guns and everything that the game is designed around, this taut, methodical like gameplay experience. And when you don't really adjust that at all, you simply just change the enemies and the style of the level and the objectives, and just like, hey, here's some more ammo, go and fight these enemies. It's not, it doesn't necessarily, like I said, it's jarring. So I don't know if it's simply the fact that it's just jarring and something you have to get used to. But yeah, it didn't necessarily feel right as we were playing the game.
Right.
Did you feel the same way?
Yeah, I mean, it took some getting used to. I mean, it's just like I said, you expect when you play a mode like this where you're being surrounded by hundreds of enemies, or not hundreds, but a lot more enemies than just 5, like you see in the 5v5 mode. Going into a mode where there's just enemies coming from all sides, you almost need those twitch shooting mechanics that you see in Call of Duty or Counter-Strike, to be able to engage multiple enemies. It does take some getting used to. It doesn't feel like that's what Rainbow Six Siege should be, but it's not to the point where it's unplayable and it's a turnoff. I mean, obviously it requires teamwork, and you got to work together, and if you can funnel enemies in, and keep your focus on that, I think you'll be a lot better off.
Yeah, it's still fun to play, but yeah, just when you think about playing a mode like that in like Destiny or something, it's just a different feel, that game doesn't necessarily have.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I do want to get in there and play that some more though. Give it a few more goes, see if we can improve our status. I do like that there's 3 different scenarios that you can play through.
Yep.
They're all kind of randomly selected as you go in there, so there's quite a bit to experience. I mean, we never. That one run we had, we made it through several objectives and several enemy encounters, and we eventually died, but I don't know where the end of that was or how big these things are, but they seem like they're pretty beefy when it gets down to it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's Rainbow Six Outbreak. What does that go till the end of the month?
April 3rd, I believe it is.
April 3rd.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so got a few more weeks to get in there and play that. The rest of the stuff that came out last week that we missed: Call of Duty World War II, the gun game and prop hunt modes are permanently added to that multiplayer playlist now. Black Ops 3 actually got the Redwood Snow map. This was an interesting story, Brent. But they added a map and a mode to Black Ops 3 this week. What is this game? 3 years old now?
3 years old.
Black Ops 3?
There was World War II, Infinite Warfare, and then before that, so.
Yeah, so still getting love on Black Ops 3. People love that game. That's available now on PS4 and Xbox One. Rocket League got its DC Superheroes DLC pack. It's available on the PS4, Xbox One, and Switch now. Let's get some DC cars. I need to do that myself. Damascus Gear Operation Osaka is available now on the PS4 and Vita. DJ Max Respect got a demo on the PS4 that's available now. It's a game we talked about on a prior show. That actually looks pretty neat for rhythm game fans. Virtual Reality Football Clubs available now on PSVR. Few Arcade Archives games, Neo Geo Real Bout Fatal Fury 1 and Real Bout Fatal Fury 2 are available for the Switch and Xbox One respectively. 7 Deadly Sins Knights of Britannia is available now on PS4. This is a game based on an anime. And then For Honor got its dedicated servers for PS4 and Xbox One now. So another Ubisoft game that continues to chug along here. They've kind of figured out that extending the life of their games thing, their games seemingly last forever. All right, let's get to the spotlight releases for this week now. First one we're going to talk about, Brent, is Kirby Star Allies. This is a Friday, March 16th release. It's, of course, available for the Switch. There's a demo available now. If you're curious about this game, I do need to get in there and try this because I'm not sure about Kirby Star Allies. I don't know if this is something I'm going to play. It looks interesting. It's colorful. It looks like a fun platformer. I've never actually played a Kirby game, so I don't know if this is the right one to jump into with, but definitely curious. I need to download that demo and try it out. What are your thoughts on Star Allies?
I actually played the demo before the show tonight. I downloaded it and jumped into it, and it's a pretty cool game, man. Playing it solo, it gives you 3 other characters as you kind of like you friend them with hearts. You come up to an enemy that looks like a knight, and you can throw a friend heart. You throw a friend heart at it, and it goes from your enemy to one of your like 3 companions that'll take you through the journey. But it played very good. It looked good. It ran smooth in handheld mode. So I am going to pick it up because I think we're going to stream it on Friday night. Bender, Frankie, myself, and hopefully you will do a 4-player stream of Kirby's on Friday night.
All right. So it looks like I'm getting Star Allies. Cool. So Friday, March 16th, we'll all be playing Kirby. So does this feel like a traditional Kirby platformer just with 4 players? And I know you don't have a lot of experience with Kirby either, but just from your like brief time with the demo, does this seem like a level-based like 2D platformer with maybe a boss or something at the end, just with 4 players in it?
That's basically what I gathered from the demo. I got through to the first boss's giant tree that we had to fight, and it was fun. Like it was pretty cool, and I'll be curious to see how the dynamic of playing with 3 other people as opposed to just the AI controlling the 3 characters. I think it'll probably be a lot more fun cooperatively with other people controlling characters.
Now, I'm guessing this is something where we can't talk to each other as we're playing.
We will be talking to each other, but nothing in. I don't think there's anything in game where we can talk to each other.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at.
Yeah,
I know we'll figure out a way around it because we're such tech savvy guys at Short Pause. But so we'll figure out a way to talk to each other. But yeah, another game that is based around co-op that when people get this game and go to play it, you can't talk to anybody, you can't talk to their friends because the app is only for Splatoon, right? It's
wonderful.
Weird. But yeah, so tune in to the Short Pause channel, and hopefully sometime Friday or over the weekend we'll have some Star Allies content for you guys so you can see what it's all about. Also coming this week, a game we've talked about multiple times on this program, and a game we're pretty excited about, Burnout Paradise Remastered. It's also a Friday release. PS4 and Xbox One it's coming to. There's a trial available now on EA Access, I know, so you can go on there and give that a whirl if you're so inclined.
I did.
But you did?
Yeah.
Tell us about it, Brent.
It's Burnout Paradise. Runs really smooth. I don't want to say it's like a huge graphical leap. I mean, it looks like an older title, but it runs smooth. Having it at 60 frames, it runs very, very nice. The crashes and everything looks even better at a high frame rate. And it's basically it's Burnout Paradise that we know from all those years back. So it ran good. It played good. The racing was fun. It's Burnout Paradise, man.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, obviously this was an HD game already. It was available on the PS3 and Xbox 360. So, don't know how much tweaking they did with this. I believe it's 4K compatible now, right?
Yes.
Was that available in the EA Access version? I don't know what they give you in there, but
yeah, it shows up in the Xbox enhanced like catalog of games on my system. When I switch it to like Xbox One X games only, like the enhanced ones, it shows up there. I was playing on the 4K TV and it looked really, really good.
Cool. Yeah. Like we talked about before, Brent, I thought Burnout Paradise was awesome when I played it way back in the day on the PS3 360. I thought it was a lot of fun. It just seemed like the racing is gonna hold up for modern times.
I didn't have any concerns. Like, it felt like a Burnout game. The racing felt good. It was fun. The only thing I didn't like about Burnout Paradise is just how, I like it on racing where it kind of has it kind of shows in front of you where to go, like if you have a turn coming up, and kind of like how they do in Forza 3. In this one, you don't get that. It's more open world. You can take multiple routes or paths, and the turning system, you kind of get this notification on the top of the screen that's flashing to turn right, but it's hard to notice that sometimes when you're crashing into people and you're trying to avoid stuff in the street. That was the only thing I didn't like about Burnout Paradise. It was kind of just goofy in terms of like the GPS. It's been done much better in other games. Cool.
Yes, probably showing its age a little bit with that. I mean, Burnout Paradise is 10 years old now? Maybe a little bit more.
Might be a little bit more.
2007, 2008, I think. So yeah, it might be 10, 11 years now since Burnout Paradise first released. But yeah, I'm looking forward to playing this again. Not looking forward to that price tag. Just feel like $39.99 is a bit steep for this game. $29.99 I think would have been a better price for a game that's this old, and it doesn't sound like too much was done to it to come over to these consoles. But say la vie, man. What are you gonna do? So,
yeah, I mean, I liked
Burnout Paradise on Friday.
Yeah, I liked what I played in the EA Access through the trial. I'm not sure I'm going to pick this up on Friday right away though. Like you said, that price, especially with Kirby coming out, and we picked up I bought Bravo Team last week, so that price is starting to show up. It's starting to be more. It's kind of a turnoff at this point, but I'm still interested in this game, just not at $39.99.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you, man. If I end up having to get Kirby, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to squeeze Burnout in there either. It's just too many games right now that I'm buying and not having a chance to play. So, but yeah, doesn't diminish my interest in it. And if we've learned anything over the years, Brent, it's that video games are gonna go on sale.
Yes.
And Burnout Paradise Remastered is gonna be no different. Probably sooner than we think. This game's gonna be on sale, and we're gonna be kicking ourselves. Because if we buy it, we're gonna be like, man, I barely played it. Now it's $20. Could have saved $20 if I just waited a couple weeks. But yeah, we'll see. Next title on our list, Brent, Devil May Cry HD Collection. This is coming to the PS4 and Xbox One on Tuesday. Devil May Cry is a game that I've enjoyed in the past. I would love to get the HD Collection for my current console. This game, I believe, is $29.99. Is that correct?
I believe so. Yes.
Yeah. So that's good to hear. But yeah, these games at 60 frames are pretty wicked, man. Yeah. Have you ever played Devil May Cry?
I haven't. Not a one.
I feel like this is something that you get into, especially I know you gave Bayonetta a whirl recently, just to play through a few levels, kind of get a taste of that. But this is kind of where that genre started with the Devil May Cry games. I feel like you'd probably get into these, man. But yeah, having all three of these games, three very well received games, well outside of the second one. The second one has its detractors, but to have all three of those games at 60 frames for $30, just it's pretty much a no brainer purchase for me, man. You have any interest in picking this up?
Like you said, these games will be on sale at some point, so I'm gonna wait.
You throw in the old sale bomb.
Yeah.
All right, cool. And then the final title we're gonna spotlight this week is Tesla vs. Lovecraft, Brent, which is a game you've already talked about. It's coming out on Tuesday for the PS4 and Friday for the Xbox One, and you said Friday for the Switch as well.
Yes.
Is that okay? Cool. So, yeah, from everything I've seen, from everything you've played, this seems like a recommended title that you should go out and pick up. So look for that when it officially releases this week. Let's get through the rest of the stuff that's coming out this week. On Tuesday, the 25th Ward Silver Case comes to PS4. Cube 2 comes to PS4 and Xbox One. Brent, you have a little bit of experience with Cube 1, don't you? Pretty interesting puzzle game.
Yeah, I really liked it. We have a video up on our YouTube channel. You can find it in there. It's an older video. I think it's like 2 or 3 years old. But I really liked what I played, and I'm really interested in Cube 2. It's a great puzzle game. It almost reminded me a little bit of Portal.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's got a Portal vibe to it.
Yep, and very challenging puzzles that'll make you think, but it's just a cool atmosphere. It's got some good music, so I'm looking forward to Cube 2.
Cool. So check that out on Tuesday. The Council Episode 1, The Mad Ones, comes to PS4 and Xbox One. Interesting adventure game. Takes place with like Napoleon and George Washington and some like real life people in there. So that's a pretty crazy sounding game. Assassin's Creed Origins gets the Curse of the Pharaohs expansion. There's something a lot of people are looking forward to. That'll be on PS4 and Xbox One this week. City Skylines gets its Content Creator Pack DLC on PS4. It's available now on the Xbox One. So that'll be coming over to Sony's platform. Spiral Splatter, interesting looking puzzle game. You're moving it's a very minimalist style, but you're moving this object around the map, trying to avoid hazards. Pretty interesting looking title. This is a contender for the Indie Spotlight this week. It's available on the PS4, Xbox One, and Switch on Tuesday. Pure Farming 2018 is a PS4 and Xbox One joint. The Raven Remastered also hits PS4 and Xbox One. Beast Quest was is not coming to PS4 this week. Not sure if it's still coming to Xbox One, but I know the drop for PlayStation listed that as the release date had changed. So it's possible this is coming out on the Xbox One, but it's also possible that it's not. So look out for that if you're interested in Beast Quest. Cruise Brothers hits PS4 and Xbox One on Tuesday. Coffin Dodgers, the geriatric kart racer, comes to Switch on Tuesday. It's a game I still need to play at some point. Danmaku Unlimited 3 hits the Switch, the puzzle game. Armello Special Edition gets its retail release on PS4 on Tuesday. And Hakuoki Edu Blossoms hits the Vita on Tuesday. I believe this is a visual novel, Brent. On Wednesday, The Long Reach comes to PS4, Xbox One, and Vita. This is a very interesting looking title. I'm interested in seeing what this is about. Frankie mentioned he's got some interest in this one as well. But kind of a puzzle adventure game. References Lone Survivor and The Cave as being inspiration for this game, as well as classical adventure games, probably along that line, maybe like Maniac Mansion or one of those types of deals. So yeah, really curious about that one. That one will be out on Wednesday. And then The American Dream comes to PSVR on Wednesday as well. Thursday, Surviving Mars hits PS4 and Xbox One. Wanted to give a shout out to this one for Frankie. This is like a city builder, but it's set on Mars. So it's got a kind of a different feel about it. But yeah, I know he's interested in that one. He loves those kind of games. So his interest has been piqued by Surviving Mars. Will yours? Check it out on Thursday. Alchemist Castle comes to PS4 on Thursday. Gal Gunvolt Burst. Now I saw this pop up on the PS4 list. Gunvolt is a game I've been interested in on Nintendo platforms. I haven't actually got my hands on it yet. A lot of people compare it to Mega Man. But Gal Gunvolt Burst coming to PS4 this week. Brent, if this is anything like Mega Man, I got to get my hands on this one, man.
You probably
So
should.
I've always been really curious about the Gunvolt games, so that one piqued my interest this week. Maria the Witch hits PS4 on Thursday. Zeus Quest Remastered comes to the PS4 on Thursday. Neurovoider comes to the Vita. Neon Wall is a Switch title. The Long Reach will be on the Switch on Thursday. World Neverland Elnia Kingdom is a Switch title. Bingo for Nintendo Switch, which is a first-person shooter set in ancient Egypt. No, it's Bingo for the Nintendo Switch. Enchanting Mahjong Match is a Switch Thursday title. Gem Smashers and Sparkle 3 Genesis will also be on the Switch on Thursday. And then one lone release on Friday this week, Brent, and that's Splatoon 2 Starter Edition.
Oh, wow.
Just coming to the Nintendo Switch. This is a bit of a strange release. The Starter Edition, let me pull up what it actually encompasses here. But it's described as so. This bundle is perfect for first-time Inklings. It contains the game, a detailed strategy guide which will help equip you with the knowledge you'll need to become the freshest squid on the battlefield, and 2 stylish sticker sheets. So this is a very strange way to re-release your game.
Yeah.
But that's Nintendo. So if you're excited about the stuff that's coming up for Splatoon in the future, or you just wanted to see what Splatoon 2 is all about, sounds like the Starter Edition is going to be the way to go. Brent, that's going to do it for the new releases.
Thank you, sir. We end the new releases with Nintendo, and we're going to start the news with Nintendo. Now,
synergy. It's almost like we planned it. Huh?
The latest Nintendo Direct dropped on March 8th, which was Thursday, and we got a lot of information out of this Nintendo Direct. It was about 35, 40 minutes long, and we got to see a lot of stuff not only for the Nintendo Switch, but the Nintendo 3DS. The 3DS is still kicking, still going.
Still kicking into 2019 as well. It's like, geez.
Man, still going strong.
You know, when you get these NPD reports and you see the 3DS is selling as many systems as it was 5 years ago. I mean, I get, what's Nintendo going to do? They got to keep this thing going, I guess.
People are buying it. You don't take it off the shelf unless it's the Nintendo Classic. Then you take it off the shelf.
Yeah, I guess that doesn't apply to Nintendo. They'll take whatever they want off the shelf.
So first we're going to start off with the Nintendo 3DS headlines. We're going to start off with WarioWare Gold. This arrives on the Nintendo 3DS with over 300 micro games on August 3rd. Boys, what was your take on WarioWare Gold?
I'm actually a big fan of WarioWare, so to see this coming over to the 3DS, now I know people are going to be excited about this. This is a very silly game. You know, they call it these micro games. So what happens in WarioWare is you get a game or a prompt that comes up on your screen, and you've got maybe 5-10 seconds to figure out what you're supposed to do. It'll say something like I don't know, something like knock this thing off the table, and you've got to like blow in the microphone to knock something off the table, like create wind or whatever.
Uh-huh.
Or there's something like falling down from the sky, and you've got to move a guy underneath to catch it. But it's just all of these crazy things, and with the 3DS, what they can do is they have the touchscreen available. So, you know, they showed some things where it looked like I think they were pulling like a hair out of a nostril with the touchscreen, like dragging it out. So there's like these things pop up on the screen, and you've got only a couple seconds to figure out what you're supposed to do and then execute it. So it's actually a really fun game. It's a goofy game. This is something I would have loved to seen on the Switch.
Mm-hmm.
So, but you know, the hell with us. They're gonna put WarioWare Gold on the 3DS, and you're gonna buy it over there on August 3rd. So this is a cool game though.
Okay. Up next, we have Dylan's Dead Heat Breakers. This arrives on May 24th. There will be a demo available on May 10th. Did this strike a chord with you at all?
I'm not familiar with the Dylan series. It looks like some kind of like action. I don't know. The guy kind of rolls up in a ball like Sonic the Hedgehog. It's like a 3D action title. Don't know too much about it other than that though. I know this is a series that's had some other entries.
Okay. I'm going to tell you right now, dude, I watched this Nintendo Direct, and I know Bender was really excited about it, and there's probably a lot of stuff here that he does enjoy. Man, I just could not get into this Direct, dude. There was a couple of things that piqued my interest. Obviously, I thought Project Octopath Traveler, I thought that was like the highlight of the show. I played the demo recently, really enjoyed that game. But there just wasn't a lot in this Direct that really just blew my skirt up. But Everyone's gonna be different, and we talked about this before the show. And you said this was, there's Nintendo fans that are really excited about this. And even though I'm a fan of Nintendo, I am not a diehard fan of Nintendo, and so a lot of this stuff doesn't resonate with me as well as it does others.
Yeah, this was a very Nintendo fan focused Nintendo Direct. If you're somebody that owns multiple consoles or plays stuff on multiple consoles, there's probably not as much stuff in here to get excited. But if you're a hardcore Nintendo fan and you only play your 3DS, you only play your Switch, and that's where you do all your gaming, there's some stuff in here that you would be more excited about than, say, the person who plays his Xbox and his PS4 and his Switch. There's a lot of ground that they're retreading here with this Direct. So, yeah, depending on what camp you fall on would depend on your excitement level, I think, for this.
Let's keep going with the 3DS. You mentioned this thing's going to be going into 2019, and Mario and Luigi, Bowser's Inside Story, and Bowser Jr.'s Journey are both coming to the 3DS in 2019. What was your take on this, boys?
I know a lot of people love Bowser's Inside Story. This is, the Mario and Luigi RPG series is a long-running series now at this point. They just remade Superstar Saga for the 3DS, and now they're doing Mario and Luigi Bowser's Inside Story and bringing that in 2019. And I'm just like, dude, it's like the Switch came out in 2017, and here we are in 2019. They're remaking or just re-releasing Mario and Luigi games, and they're not doing it on the Switch. That's annoying. So I don't get it. So are we just gonna keep seeing the Mario and Luigi DS games just come over to the 3DS now? I guess I don't know, but yeah, would have once again liked to have seen this make its way over to the Switch because I am interested in playing these games, but I'm not trying to go out and buy a 3DS to play some of these other games on. Like I'd like to do that stuff on the Switch.
Like, I understand the appeal of the 3DS. I understand it's still selling very well, but it just seems like at some point you think Nintendo would be like, all right, look, the Switch is our baby. That's the one that that's the one that's hard as hell to find. You can find a 3DS anywhere. And to keep putting out these games that are beloved games that people loved back in the day only on a 3DS, on the system that, it still sells well, it doesn't compare to the Switch. And for them to focus on the 3DS with these titles, it's just like, what are you doing?
It's strange, man, because and I know Nintendo probably doesn't look at the 3DS like this, but it's almost like if Sony were to come out and be like, just pick a game, like we're remaking God of War, but we're remaking it on the PS3, and then everybody that has a PS4 is like, what?
Right.
What do you mean you're making it for the PS3? Like, we're playing the PS4 now.
Right.
So as a Switch owner, you're sitting here. If you're going to remake a game or re-release a game, don't you want to re-release it to where your audience is currently at? And maybe this is just a completely different thing for Nintendo. Like I said, they view the 3DS and the Switch as equal partners who cater to different audiences, I'm sure. But I feel like a lot of the Nintendo diehards, they're playing their Nintendo Switch now. And the people that are going to be really, really interested in this game would probably rather have this on their Switch. Maybe I'm crazy, but that just seems like to me what people would be thinking.
You would think. Detective Pikachu arrives on 3DS on March 23rd this month with a new giant Detective Pikachu amiibo figure in tow. You can pre-order it on the eShop now. Now, what is Detective Pikachu? Is this like a spin-off of the Pokemon games?
Yeah, I guess, man. I guess it turns Pikachu into an old man detective. He's got kind of a noir detective kind of vibe going about him now. And he's trying to investigate what's going on with the I think there's some kind of disease or sickness or something with the Pokemon that he's trying to look into. But
that description right there makes this the most 3DS game on this list of games. A lot of these games should be on the Switch. That one right there deserves to be on the 3DS and just kind of stay there.
That one should just stay where it's at.
Just stay right there. That's a 3DS game if I've ever seen one. And then lastly, this one was strange for the 3DS. Luigi's Mansion is getting a remake on the 3DS. It includes a new boss rush mode, and it'll launch this year. Now, this is a game I would expect to see on the Switch, dude. I would want to see this on the Switch.
Yeah, this is a strange one, man. Luigi's Mansion, a GameCube launch title. It's a beloved game. I love Luigi's Mansion. Frankie loves Luigi's Mansion, and he talks about it a lot. they made a sequel to Luigi's Mansion on the 3DS
Mm-hmm.
with Dark Moon. They made that a few years back.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only reason I could think that why this game is coming to the 3DS instead of elsewhere, is that they had the sequel on here, and now they want to put the original on there so people can, I don't know, maybe they have an engine or something that's already ready for the 3DS, and they can easily bring this game over that way. I don't know, but yeah, to call this a remake and to make it for the 3DS, from the GameCube is very strange, man. And another part of me wonders is maybe are we going to get Luigi's Mansion on the Switch in the form of GameCube Virtual Console compatibility? Like this was something that was rumored prior to the Switch even coming out.
Mm-hmm.
That this was in the cards, that they were looking at GameCube Virtual Console support for the Switch. So, has that changed? Is that maybe still in the cards? Might we still get Luigi's Mansion on the Switch just in its original form? That's what I'm curious about. But, once again, getting a remake of Luigi's Mansion sure would be great to have this on the Switch and not the damn 3DS.
Right. I actually picked up the sequel to Luigi's Mansion. I played a bit of it on the 3DS. It is a really good game.
Yeah.
I'm kind of a converted fan into Luigi Mansion fan, so I would have liked to have seen this on the Switch. I mean, I have a 3DS, but it's not something I want to take with me to work because I have my Switch and I have my Vita, and that's pretty much all I need. But I would have liked to have seen Luigi's Mansion and possibly Luigi's Mansion 2 make its way over to the Switch at some point.
Mm-hmm.
But like you said, I guess maybe they just want to pair it up with Luigi's Mansion 2 on the 3DS.
Yeah, I mean, and the Switch has a touchscreen as well. I mean, I understand that you can't use it when it's in docked mode,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe that prevents them from trying to bring some of these games over to the Switch. I don't know, but I don't know. I'd be okay with some of these games being handheld only, just because they have touch mechanics on them.
Isn't there a game on the Switch that's handheld only?
Yeah, it's that what is that? Vose, is that one of them?
I think so.
That-
I know
that-
there's
that
but
rhythm game.
so it won't be that big of a deal to bring it over. I mean, I won't
Yeah.
see that concern because there's already a game on there that's handheld only. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
Plus, I mean, Nintendo, they're smart developers. They can figure out how to make a game work on the Switch where you don't have to use touchscreen controls, right?
Right, exactly. So those were the big highlights from the 3DS side. Let's jump over to the Nintendo Switch side now, boys. First up, we're going to talk Kirby Stars Allies. That launches again this week with fan-favorite legacy characters as Dream Friends. King Dedede, Meta Knight, and Banana Waddle Dee. The first free update includes Rick, Kine.
Could you just say those names again? I just enjoy hearing you talk about Kirby characters.
So you can expect some new characters shortly after launch here. Moving along, Okami HD is coming to the Nintendo Switch this summer via eShop. Boys, did you ever pick up Okami HD on the PS4 or Xbox One?
I have not picked it up yet. I think it's on sale right now on PS4. I'm probably going to pick it up this week.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, obviously Okami is a beloved game. Bender speaks very highly of it. It's a very Zelda influenced kind of game.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing that you'll be able to do with the Switch is you'll be able to use the motion controls, the painting mechanics that were originally in the game on the Wii. You'll be able to use that with the Joy-Con controllers if you so choose. So that's cool.
Awesome. Sushi Striker, the way of the I knew I was going to butcher this. Sushi Striker,
the way of Sushido.
The Way of Sushido is coming to the Switch and 3DS on June 8th. This game looked wacky as hell, dude.
Yeah, I want this game. It looks like a lot of fun. It's a crazy puzzle game about fighting your rival sushi chef or whatever and matching things and throwing sushi at each other. It's got this crazy like anime style about it as well. Yeah, I loved what I saw of this game. I believe there's a Sushi Striker game that's currently on the 3DS maybe. And this is like the next one in the series or whatever. But I thought this game looked like a lot of fun.
You know what this reminds me of is that what's that chef game that came out on the Switch? Chef Brigade, or was it Chef or
Battle Chef Brigade?
Battle Chef Brigade. You do battle by whipping up meals and stuff, and whoever makes the meal that matches what the judge wants, it wins. You know, it's just this unique game, and this reminded me a little bit of it, not only the art style but the actual gameplay. So Sushi Striker actually looked pretty cool. And then, in my opinion, the best part of the direct is we finally got a release date for Project Octopath Traveler. It's going to release on July 13th. We saw 2 new characters. We saw Tressa, who is a merchant, and Alphen, who is an apothecary. We also saw jobs in battle. Characters start with a base job, but can equip an additional job to use in battle to expand strategic options. And then we also saw a special edition, boys. This is revealed in the form of Octopath Traveler, the special edition. I think it was called the Wayfarer's Edition.
Yeah, Wayfarer's Edition.
Wayfarer's Edition. Yeah, it goes for $100, and you get a nice book, a real nice book, a cloth map, a coin from the game. You get the game itself, obviously, but a nice little collector's edition. Boys, did you get on this today?
I did not. I'm interested in it though. It might be something I try to get down the line here. But yeah, a lot of people were excited about this release date. I'm pretty interested in this game too. This definitely strikes me as an old style like Square game, and that's something that's right up my alley. Reminds me a lot of like a Saga game with all these different characters that they have in it, and I don't know if their stories are going to intertwine or how they all kind of play off of each other. But yeah. Obviously, a lot of people have liked what they've played of Project Octopath so far. I know Bender has. I think Frankie's played around with this as well, and he's enjoyed his time with it. So, yeah, this is shaping up to be a good one, man. July 13th is probably a good release date for this one.
Yeah, I was interested in it, and I fired up that demo this week and played it, and it is really good. I really enjoyed what I played. I'm very interested in this game. I ended up grabbing the Wayfarer's Edition on Amazon today. I'm going to wait for the Best Buy one to pop up, but I wanted to secure one at least because sometimes I don't get the notifications and I miss out on it. So at least I have the Amazon. The thing I like about pre-ordering from Amazon is they don't charge you until it ships, so you can throw in a pre-order and you're good to go. And then if it pops up on Best Buy, I can just simply go back and cancel the Amazon one. So I'm really interested in this game. July 13th, a nice little date there in the summer. I think this game's going to be a huge hit on the Switch. I love what I played on. I love playing it in handheld mode. That's where I want to play it. So really, really interested in Octopath Traveler.
Thing I don't like about Amazon, they yanked the damn 20% off on the collector's editions. So
again, that's just acting right now as a backup in case I can't get to the Best Buy one. Obviously, I want to get the Best Buy one so we can get the Gamer Club unlocked discount. So I'll be keeping an eye out for that. You'll have to do your job in Discord to get the link out right away when it pops up because that's what you do. The next game,
keep my eyes peeled.
The next game that we saw here was Travis Strikes Again, No More Heroes. This launches exclusively on the Switch later this year. Now, is this a series of games? I've never even heard of Travis Strikes Again.
Yeah, this is Travis Touchdown. You might remember him from the Wii games. They had the No More Heroes games on the Wii. I've actually never played these games. They have a cult following though. They're like Grasshopper, Suda51. They're creations from him. So, a lot of people really get into these things. This one looks a little bit different than what I remember. I remember No More Heroes being more of like a, like an in-close 3D like action game. This looks more almost top-down. There's different styles of gameplay in this as well. I know they mentioned there's your Travis Touchdown and you're inside of a video game world or something, and there's 7 different kinds of games that you play through, and there's a boss character at the end of each one. It actually looks pretty fun. I'd be interested in seeing what this one's all about.
Yeah, this one I thought it had an interesting look to it. This one wasn't too bad. After that, we got to see Dark Souls Remastered again. We got to see a little more gameplay, and we found out there will be a network test coming soon. So we'll be able to get our hands on this game and play a little bit before its launch on May 25th. There is also
this is happening on PS4 and Xbox One as well. This won't be just a Switch network test. So
there'll be a network test on all of them.
Be a network test all the way around, I believe.
I'm going to play it on either Xbox One, PS4, and see that 4K 60 frames. Be like, I'm never ever even going to consider the Switch version. But I do like the fact that it's coming there. I mean, that game should do well on the Switch. So there's a lot of people that are going to like the idea of having Dark Souls on the go. So that should do well there. Yeah. But of course, with Dark Souls, they managed to get an amiibo for it. Solaire of Astora amiibo. This was revealed. It'll be releasing on May 25th alongside the game. Did you get your pre-order in, boys?
Oh, yeah. I pre-ordered 3 of them just in case the first 2 broke. So,
jeez, oh, man. I wonder do you think Frankie and Benner got theirs locked up already?
Probably. I don't know.
You don't give a cool. Next game we're going to talk about, Mario Tennis Aces. This launches on June 22nd. This will include more than 15 playable characters, new zone shots, racket-breaking mechanics, zone speed, and energy gauge mechanics were shown off as well. Simple rules mode also included. Up to 4-player online multiplayer will be available. Swing mode lets you use your Joy-Con motion controls. Can't wait to throw that through my TV. And pre-launch, and there'll be a pre-launch online tournament. We don't have any details on it yet, but there'll be a tournament coming for this game prior to launch, which is interesting.
Yeah. So you can get in there and try out Tennis Aces before it launches. I've always liked Mario Tennis, man. I really liked Mario Tennis back in the 64 days.
Mm-hmm.
I know the last one on the Wii U was just panned. Like, people hated that game. I obviously never got to play that one. But this one looks pretty good. I like some of the mechanics that they were showing off. I like that there's this whole story mode they have in the game as well. So you're going to be able to go through this wacky tennis story, and Mario's fighting like piranha plants and stuff on the tennis court. So it looks pretty good, man. I'm hoping this returns Mario Tennis to its former glory, and being able to carry this around with you. Mario Tennis is a very easy to pick up and play game, and it can be addicting if it's done right. So this is, I think, going to be a good one to have on the go, and the fact that it's got 4-player online as well. That's fun, man, when you get 2 people on both sides of the net, and then you're going back and forth, like just thinking about something like we were doing with like Disc Jam or something, when everybody's on the court there and they're playing against each other. It gets pretty fun.
Yeah, I can't wait to see you, Frankie Benner, and JD play that, man. Should be a good time. I'm not buying that. The only sports game I want on the Switch, man, is Mario Golf, dude. I want a proper Mario Golf game on the Switch, because I really enjoyed when I played a Mario Golf on the 3DS. I thought that game was really, really fun. I'm just waiting for that to get announced for the Switch at some point.
Yeah. It's inevitable. It'll be here at some point.
I can't wait, because I really, really like that game. I think Mario Golf is an awesome game. We've also got some more games here, older games that are still coming to the Switch. Captain Toad Treasure Tracker is coming to the Switch with new Super Mario Odyssey levels on July 13th. I'm not going to lie, dude. This is one of the games where I was like, at first I was like, I don't know if I'm going to have any interest in this. But just seeing some of the gameplay, I actually thought this game looked pretty cool.
Yeah, Captain Toad is a beloved game from the Wii U that many people were hoping would come over to Switch. It's making its way over now. It's got some new levels. Captain Toad obviously shows up in Mario Odyssey in each of the levels in there, so it's cool that they're kind of tilting their hat to that. There's a Nintendo 3DS version of this game coming as well. And, man, July 13th is going to be busy for Switch owners, because you got Octopath Traveler and Captain Toad now, both launching on the same day.
Yeah, that's a real big day. We also found out that Undertale was announced for the Nintendo Switch, so Undertale will be making its way to the Switch. I actually played that. That game is actually really, really funny. Have you played Undertale?
I haven't played it yet. It's definitely on my bucket list of things to do. Obviously, people love that game. They speak very, very highly of it. It sounds like something that would be right up my alley, especially as being a fan of like older RPG style games.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely need to check this out.
Yeah, you do. It's actually really, really good. I've enjoyed what I played of that. And then one of the bigger announcements, Crash Bandicoot, the Insane Trilogy, is making its way over to the Nintendo Switch on July 10th, 3 days prior to Octopath Traveler and Captain Toad.
It's busy. It's a busy week, man. Jeez.
Very busy. So you'll get the Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy. That's coming to the Nintendo Switch. It's also coming to Xbox One and Steam. So Crash is going to be everywhere now. What's your thoughts on Crash coming to other consoles, dude?
I mean, this is something it's been in the making for a long time now. We've seen the leaks and the different things that have popped up, and Crash showing up on ratings boards or whatever. I can't remember exactly where he showed it, but we've seen this story kind of popping up, and I'm a firm believer of where there's smoke, there's fire. So this is not a surprise that this is coming over to these other platforms. This is right about a year after it came out to the PS4, so clearly they had the year deal with Activision, and they're going to bring this game over to other platforms now. It was extremely successful on the PS4. I'll be interested to see how successful it is on these other platforms as well, because is this simply a character who resonates with PlayStation gamers, or is there going to be a following on these other platforms that's really excited to get Crash over there finally? I'll be curious to see how that all works out.
Can't wait for those MPD reports. Going to be very telling. We also got to see Little Nightmares, the complete edition, coming to the Nintendo Switch on May 18th. Again, this is a game that I really enjoyed on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. Just no interest in grabbing this on the Switch, dude. I mean, there's just games that I've played on these other consoles. When these announcements happen, I'm really happy for the people who are solely Nintendo Switch owners. But again, it's just like I'm just waiting for something big, like a big announcement, you know?
Yeah, I mean that's kind of the thing. It's like, I don't know. There's this thing with a lot of Switch owners, like they want like every game on their Switch because they like having the portability
Right.
and all that kind of stuff with the game. I don't really have the time or the way my life pans. I don't have a lot of time to play stuff in handheld mode. Like I don't have a long commute to work where I'm like sitting on a bus or public transportation or something like that. Like I have a 10-minute drive into my office. I don't go on a ton of trips, so I don't get to really, play my handheld systems that often. I don't really get a chance to play them at work. I don't have the type of job that is conducive to being able to get gaming time in between stuff that I'm doing. So it's like portability is not a big factor for me right now. So just seeing all these games that I have on other platforms that I've played, months or even years ago in some cases, it doesn't get me excited either for this kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, like Little Nightmares doesn't do anything for me. Now, the next game I'm sort of interested in simply because I think RPGs like this do very well on the Switch, and that's South Park: The Fractured Butthole. That's coming to the Nintendo Switch on April 24th. DLC 1 and 2 are also coming on April 24th alongside the Switch release. That's The Danger Deck and From Dusk Till Casa Bonita. And then DLC will release later this year. But this is a game where I think these RPGs, these turn-based RPGs, are perfect on the go. I think you can play it for a little bit, set it to the side, or even put it into sleep mode, come back to it, play through another battle and stuff like that. And I haven't even played South Park: The Fractured Butthole yet, so that one's a little bit more appealing than some of these other titles. But I think RPGs lend itself better to the Switch than most other genres, especially in handheld mode.
Yeah, no doubt, man. Especially in a game like this, I think it has a RPG style battle system that's conducive to portability and being able to carry this around and put it down and pick it up and that kind of stuff. So I think this is definitely going to be a good fit for the Switch. Actually, they had this game on sale on Amazon the other day for like the whole remote controlled bundle. The whole thing was like $60 or something. So I grabbed it.
Nice.
So I actually bought this on the PS4 recently. But yeah, on the 24th it'll be there, and DLC 1 and DLC 2 will be available. The whole season pass is going to be available for the Switch. DLC 3 doesn't have a release date yet, but we know that March 20th DLC 2 officially comes out for the PS4 and Xbox One as well. So by the time this game comes over to the Switch, it'll have those first two DLCs ready for it. So I don't think there's any question, Brent, that this is going to be a good fit for the Switch as long as it works fine.
Right.
And from what they showed in the trailer, it looked like it was fine.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, as long as it translates technically okay, then yeah, I think this is going to be a great fit for Switch owners.
Mm-hmm. And then one of the final games that we saw before we get to the big stuff, Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition is coming to the Switch on May 18th. What's your take on Hyrule Warriors, man?
I don't know, man. This is one of those, Dynasty Warriors spin-off kind of games where they take an established franchise and just put them into the Dynasty Warriors formula. When I watch trailers of it, much like Fire Emblem Warriors, that's already on the Switch. It looks like a fun game, and it's probably something you can get into and have a good bit of fun with. I know these games tend to get repetitive after a while, but it's probably something you could visit every now and then and have fun with. I know it's not a Zelda game, so it just happens to have Zelda characters in it. But I don't know, man. This looks kind of fun. I might pick it up.
Bender wasn't too high on this, was he?
Nah, he's not a fan of this one.
Yeah. This next thing that really interested me, boys, was the new Splatoon DLC announced. It's called Octo Expansion. It's coming soon this summer for $19.99 on eShop. And this actually kind of interested me. You play as Agent 9. This is a brand new character. Her name is Agent 9 in a brand new single-player campaign. And she's like going through like this test facility or of some kind that's like in the subway system, or a very strange premise. But we got a glimpse at a lot of the different levels that she has to make her way through, and they look very intricate. They look very elaborate. And I'm into that kind of stuff. I love it when they drop you into something. And I mean, her character, she can't remember who she is, but I love it how they have test chambers. And if I remember correctly in the video, it said there'd be over 80 test chambers for Agent 8 to go through.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, that is a lot, and that's something I like. Like, I think Splatoon 2 is a very good game. Actually, I really enjoyed what I've played of it. The fact that this is going to be a single player campaign add-on, that's even more appealing. And like I said, when we watch this video, you see some of these levels that Agent 8 has to play through. Looks very, very elaborate, and I love stuff like that.
Did you play through the whole single player in Splatoon 2?
I played through a good chunk of it, and then I got lost in the multiplayer. Then I just went way into the multiplayer. So I've not played through the campaign, but I have played through a considerable portion of it, and I really liked what I played there. I think it's a really fun game overall.
Interesting. Yeah, my kids love Splatoon, man. They're always talking to me about Splatoon and wanting to play it. So maybe it's something I'll pick up at some point. It's still just a game that has yet to grab me.
Dude, if you ever pick it up, let me know. I'll play it with you, dude. I'll hop in there with you, and I'll play it whenever you want. Dude. I really enjoy that game.
Okay.
We found out that version 3.0 is coming this spring with over 100 pieces of new gear, 3 new stages, and a rank X, which is a new extreme rank that will also be introduced. So a lot of stuff coming with version 3.0 this spring, boys. So this game is constantly getting updated, and we got a whole plethora of new stuff, including a new single-player campaign.
I didn't even realize this was going to be in the cards for Splatoon. I know with the first game they had a support plan that went on for about a year, and once they finished it up, that was it. But I didn't realize. I don't know if they've talked about this prior, if I just missed it, but I didn't realize that paid DLC expansions were something that they were thinking about for Splatoon 2.
I never even thought about that either, but, I mean, man, they must see something there where people really enjoy playing this game, and they figure, hey, we'll put this out here for $20. Plus, I mean, this sounds like a considerable sized expansion. I mean, like we mentioned, 80-plus levels of, like I said, that look very elaborate. I think $20 is a pretty good price for something like that.
Yeah, definitely sounds like it could be a good bang for your buck.
Indeed. All right, Mr. Boyce, obviously the biggest story out of the Nintendo Direct, I'm going to let you take so I can fall asleep. But Boyce, finally, we've seen it. We saw Agent 8 kind of standing around in the dark, and then you see like this ominous orange glow behind her. She turns around, and there you see the glimmer in her eye as it comes into focus. Super Smash Bros. For the Switch has been confirmed. Please tell us why you're excited for this.
I don't know if you watch any of the reaction videos from this, but they're pretty awesome.
I bet
they have one from I think it's from the Nintendo World headquarters in New York, where they're playing the Nintendo Direct live on the screen. They've got everybody like gathered around the TV screen, and then the video that leads into this is actually really cool. And when you're watching the video, if you've played Smash Brothers games before, like you kind of felt that this was coming because of the direction, the way it's directed, the fast-paced kind of action. It's got the Inkling boy, the Inkling girl running around shooting at each other before they reveal the Smash Brothers logo. And it was really clever how they did this because they did the Splatoon 2 DLC, and they made it seem like this was like the big finale to the Nintendo Direct. And they're like, all right, thanks for watching. Oh, wait, we got one more thing. They do the Nintendo Snap. And then they show the Inklings again running around, and then you're like, okay, do they got more to tell us about Splatoon?
Right.
But then as it's going on, and they're like shooting at each other, and then the way it's directed, the way the angles are shot, and the fast-paced nature, I started to think to myself, wait a minute, This is not just an ordinary Splatoon 2. Then the scene goes dark. You see the Inkling girl turn around, and then the camera slowly zooms in on her eye, and then we see the glow of the Smash Brothers logo in her eye. She turns around. She sees the big flaming circle with the cross in it, the symbol of Smash Brothers. We see Mario. We see Link, and then we see silhouettes of several characters in the dark underneath this symbol, and then bam. Smash Brothers for the Nintendo Switch. Not only that, but it's coming this year.
Wow.
It's coming in 2018. So, Brent, when we started this year, and we were like, man, how do you follow up a year that has a brand new Mario and a brand new Zelda?
Mm-hmm.
Well, Brent, you come out with a Smash Brothers game and potentially a Pokemon game, or maybe even a Metroid Prime game. That's how you follow it up.
Mm-hmm.
Like, these are the only franchises that can go toe-to-toe with stuff like Mario and stuff like Zelda. But Smash Brothers is an enormous game. It's going to be huge on this platform. It's one of my absolute favorite Nintendo franchises. I mean, the amount of time that I've spent playing Smash Brothers, especially the GameCube and the Wii version, especially Melee and Brawl, like the amount of hours I played that with like Taz and our boys and just going at it for till 3-4 in the morning in Smash Brothers is pretty crazy. So, I missed Smash Brothers on the Wii U, and I'm disappointed about that. But I just couldn't bring myself to buy that console just for Smash Brothers.
Mm-hmm.
So to see that it's coming to Switch now, a console that I own, and it's coming this year, I'm incredibly excited about this, man. Smash Brothers is a really, really fun game to play. It's a very competitive game too. When you start to play with people that know their characters, they know how to play this game. It's a sweaty, like, white knuckle battle with these cute little characters that kind of belies its style.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Smash Brothers is an awesome game, dude. Really excited that this game is coming out this year. That's pretty wild.
Mm-hmm. Now, who do we have in that silhouette, boys? I mean, were you able to distinguish any of the characters in there?
So IGN put a video out where they guessed on who they thought could be the characters at the bottom of the screen here, and there's people postulating and thinking about this kind of stuff. So, but I like where the IGN video is at. So I'm gonna read the characters that they hypothesized were in that silhouette down at the bottom. So going from left to right, they thought the first person was Jigglypuff, a Pokemon who's a staple in the Smash Brothers community. Jigglypuff is a pain in the ass. If you ever play somebody who knows how to use Jigglypuff, or you watch any of these like competitive matches, Jigglypuff is just, you just want to slap the smirk off her little face. Pit, who is the hero of Kid Icarus, is next, followed by Donkey Kong. And then there were some thoughts here that maybe either Peach and Rosalina, two of the female characters from the Mario universe, were standing next to each other, or it could have been Rosalia and her little star character. I can't remember the name of it right now, Lumia or something like that. But it could be either Rosalina and her partner, or possibly Peach. Kirby was next in line. Marth from the Fire Emblem series. Toon Link. Now the Link we saw looks to be Breath of the Wild Link, so
Yep.
we should probably throw that out there as well. There could be several different versions of Link in this game. There's been several versions before, so we could have Toon Link, Classic Link, Breath of the Wild Link. Who knows how many Links we're gonna have in this game?
Mm-hmm.
But definitely Breath of the Wild Link is in this game. Olimar from the Pikmin series, Sheik, Samus, Shulk from Xenoblade, Bowser, Pikachu, and either Corrin or Zelda, and Wario on the far right. So that's who they hypothesized was in that group of characters at the bottom there. So for the most part, I think almost all of these characters have been in Smash Brothers at some point in their career. So don't know what other new characters we're going to get besides the Inklings, who obviously are going to be in the game. But yeah, man, I'm excited at the possibilities, and there's always a ton of characters in the Smash Brothers lineup. So I'm sure if any or all of these are right, this is just a small sampling of what's going to be on the final roster.
Little Mac or We Riot.
Little Mac or We Riot. Cool. Get that hashtag started.
Yep, Little Mac or We Riot. I won't pick it up if Little Mac's not there because he's the most complex character, the most difficult to master. So
the biggest question about this game, Brent, is this going to be a brand new Smash Brothers, or is this simply going to be the Wii U 3DS Smash Brothers, like in some kind of a deluxe version for the Nintendo Switch? That is the big $1 million question that people are postulating right now.
What do you think it is?
I don't know. When we first saw it, I was like, and my first thought was, this would be just a deluxe version. But I didn't realize, I was trying to figure out when this game actually came out, and I believe Super Smash Brothers for the Wii U came out in 2014. If I'm looking at that, so 4 years on from that game, it's probably about time for us to get a new one, man. So this could be a brand new Smash Brothers, and does it take into account a lot of the stuff that's in the Wii U and 3DS version, maybe, and we get that into it. But I could see some new mechanics and some new levels, maybe the return of the Subspace Emissary from Brawl, which was I freaking loved that, man. I wish they would bring that back. But yeah, as we stand right now, I'm gonna lean towards this being a brand new Smash Brothers, because I don't know, we're getting a little far removed from the Wii U at this point, and I feel like when this game comes out, it will have been like 2 years or so since the Switch actually came out, or close to 2 years since the Switch came out. I could see this being a late holiday title. And at that point, do we really need to port the Smash Brothers, or should we just get a brand new one? So right now, I'm gonna lean towards this being a brand new Smash Brothers.
So I mean, do you think like that would I mean, obviously there's a lot of hype that Smash Brothers is coming to the Switch. If it's just a deluxe version, I'm sure people will be really happy. I mean, do you think that would generate even more hype if this was a brand new Super Smash Bros? And I mean, like, you talked about how they needed something big to follow up a year with Zelda and Mario Odyssey and whatnot. And if they have a Pokemon game coming out this year, and if it's a brand new Smash game, do you think that's a bigger bigger blast for Nintendo as opposed to if it was just a deluxe version?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, when you bring out a brand new Smash Brothers game, and the community that's latched onto that game, and they're playing Melee, and they're playing the Wii U version of it right now, and you tell them there's a brand new one coming out for the Switch, like, there's going to be a ton of excitement around that. People are going to be really juiced to get their hands on a brand new Smash Brothers. So there's no question. Would there be excitement for the deluxe version? Sure. To have a portable Smash Brothers that you can carry around on a screen as beautiful as the Switch, there's going to be a lot of excitement for that. But a brand new Smash Brothers, that's going to send that excitement through the roof.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, I'm sure you guys will get it. I'll probably pick it up, because if there's one fighting game that I have played, I had a matchup with Taz a couple years back. He came up and we played Smash Bros, and I thought it was actually pretty fun. I thought it was a really good time. I like the idea of having multiple people on there at one time, kind of battling on these dynamic stages. So I really liked what I played, what little I did play of it.
Yeah, Smash Brothers is a great game, man. It's something that everybody can get into. Yes, there are some very high-level players who play this game on another level, but for the most part, like, it's something that you can get in there with pretty much anybody and go a few rounds with, and it's fun.
All right, we got a couple more Nintendo things we want to talk about before we get to the break. First up, it looks like Diablo 3 is coming to the Switch now. I mean, last week it was kind of a weird week. First, Blizzard sent out a tweet with an image of a Diablo nightlight being repeatedly switched on and off. And everyone was like, wow, look, they're switching it. I get it. But then, after a few hours of people going nuts, an official response from Blizzard, apparently designed to dampen down the flames, one is this. Quote, as of now, we do not have any current plans to announce Diablo for Switch. Okay, so they shot it down, all the excitement from them. They're like, no. However, Eurogamer sources have revealed that the project is very much in production, and as you might expect, the game will be a port of Diablo 3. These sources could not confirm whether the game's Reaper of Souls and Rise of the Necromancer expansions would be included, but at this point, it would be surprising if they were not. So first, we had Blizzard sending out a tweet that people thought was kind of like a little hint. And then they came out and said, no. But now you got all these sources come out saying yes. Boys, what are your thoughts on Diablo 3 coming to the Switch? Possibly. Definitely. Likely.
I mean, why put that video out to begin with where they're flicking the Switch? I mean, I could see you trying to, like, troll people and stuff. But I don't know. Would the official, like, Blizzard or Diablo account do that? Are they actively out there trying to troll Nintendo fans? That would be really strange. So, I'm just in my head. I'm just like, why even make the video if it's not coming to Switch? I think it clearly was meant to call to that. So, unless this is an elaborate troll job, I feel like this is probably something that's in the cards. And if Eurogamer says that, their sources are telling them Diablo 3 is coming to the Switch. They're usually pretty reliable on this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I would venture on the side of yes, this game is in production for the Switch. The question now, the follow-up question, Brent, is in what form is this going to be? Is this going to be the entire Diablo 3 experience, or is this going to be, just the base game? Is this going to be a shell of its former self? Like, what is this game going to look like and run like on the Switch?
Mm-hmm. And how it runs is going to be huge.
Yeah.
For the Switch. Like I said, Diablo 3, I've got it on the PS4. I've played quite a bit of it on PS4. That's where my character is. The idea of playing this in handheld mode is super appealing if you have Wi-Fi nearby. I don't want to play Diablo by myself.
Yeah.
And, yes, there's Wi-Fi points here and there, but to be able to have to sit down and play Diablo, Diablo in my mind is not a short-term game. You play for like 20 minutes here and there on the go. This is a game where you want to sit down in front of a TV with a gamepad and really soak some time into it. And I can get a better experience on the Pro or the Xbox One X if I want to go that route. So, again, this is cool on the go, but for myself, much like, a game like Payday 2, I don't want to play that game by myself. I want to play with friends. And that's where Diablo shines, and that's just something I wouldn't be able to get access to at all times on the go.
And you don't want to play it in silence with those friends.
Right, exactly.
like to be able to actually communicate with them. And I think you bring up an interesting point about Diablo 3, Brent. Like, at first blush, this seems like a game where you're like, man, this would be great to have portable, right?
Yeah.
It's a dungeon crawler. You're going through, leveling up characters. Seems like something you could do to pass the time on the bus. But when you dig a little bit deeper, it's like, Diablo 3 really is a game that you sit down and you put hours into. And you play for long periods of time. And like you said, you link up with your friends. You go through these elaborate dungeons and get your loot and all that kind of stuff. Maybe once you get towards the end game, maybe that levels out and you do more stuff by yourself, or you could just kind of grind levels and that kind of stuff. And maybe something like that is good for the bus ride. But yeah, up until that point, this really is a game, like you said, man, that you really sit down and spend some time with. This might not be the best portable experience.
Mm-hmm. So, whether or not it's coming, we don't know yet, but signs are starting to point that this is going to happen at some point. How it runs and how it plays, and whether or not Nintendo will have a damn chat system in place that I don't know. Anyways, I don't even want to think about Diablo 3 without voice chat playing with friends. So
the other weird thing about this, man, is we've talked about Hearthstone on this show before, and to me, boy, it sure seems like Hearthstone would be a perfect fit for the Nintendo Switch. But they're like, nah, Hearthstone nowhere in the cards. But
No.
Diablo 3, maybe.
Yeah.
So that's kind of weird.
And we've seen how Payday 2 has been received since coming over. And I mean,
Yeah.
granted, hopefully, oh gosh, I hope Diablo 3 runs better than Payday 2, but it's just it's very strange. It's very strange, but I would hopefully it makes its way over and it runs good and it plays good, has all the content, and hopefully by then Nintendo has some kind of a chat system in place, because nobody wants to play that game without being able to talk to your friends.
That'd be great.
Going from Diablo 3, we're going to talk some Pinball FX3, and boy, this is one of those stories that you love to hear about. There have been performance problems on the Nintendo Switch version of Pinball FX, and the developer has confirmed that it's unlikely to be fixed.
Yeah, I hate that stuff, man.
Many people were excited about the idea of playing this game in portable mode, which can use the Switch screen in portrait to show a full table. I mean, it's a cool concept. You turn the Switch full screen, and it's like you're looking at a pinball machine. Yeah. Unfortunately, at launch, the mode ran at a lower frame rate than other versions, while its resolution made some tables look terrible while in dock mode. A patch was promised, but never arrived. Zen Studios has since posted an update on Reddit addressing the community's issues. The long and short of it is that it would involve too much work to get the game to 60 frames per second in handheld mode, and that the studio says it doesn't have the resources. Here's a quote from Zen Studios. "We might have been premature in the excitement surrounding the Switch release. We really think this is one of the best platforms to play the game and wanted to make it to everyone's liking. We have sat on this problem, contemplating it for a long time, trying to find a good way to up the frames per your request. We found that there was no universal method to do this, and each table would require a lot of separate work. We simply don't have the bandwidth and the QA department right now. We really do apologize for us being a bit slow to properly address this. End quote. Man, you gotta love it when you hear from a dev who talked about all this stuff, and then they say, "No, sorry, and it's probably not going to get fixed."
That's a downer, yeah.
Yeah, that's harsh, and that's tough because Zen Studios is a damn good, a damn fine studio. They make a lot of great games, but man, that's not a message you want to hear from a developer.
Yeah, it's disappointing to hear this, man. Like you said, I love Zen. I love a lot of the stuff that they do. So, yeah, I hate to hear that. This game came out, it's got issues, and they can't fix it. I mean, they had to have known this was an issue, right, when they released the game?
You have to, man. I mean,
something like this is not like an under the radar thing. I mean, it's got to be something that's readily apparent to the people that are playing the game the minute they play it, right?
You would think.
So that's what else rubs me the wrong way. It's like if you know that this is an issue, or if you didn't pick this up in QA, like how how does something like this get by? So yeah, that stuff is really disappointing to hear, man. And yeah, I don't really know what you can do about it. But I just hate that the game was released in that state, and now they're just like telling people I don't know if we're gonna even be able to fix it.
Oh man, that's a tough pill to swallow if you're a consumer who paid for that. So. And the last bit of news, Nintendo has commented on the Switch playtime reset. There were multiple people saying that their Switch times, their playtime for their games was reduced to 0. It didn't show like their proper, like Frankie has like 700 hours in Nintendo and Breath of the Wild, and for some people that's going right down to 0. Well, Nintendo has responded. This is what they had to say. Some Nintendo Switch owners' play activity information is displaying incorrectly, but play activity is still being recorded accurately in the background. A future Nintendo Switch system update will resolve this issue and ensure playtime is correctly displayed. We apologize for the inconvenience. End quote. I think this stuff is really important to have playtime for a lot of people. They want to see how much time they put into it. And when that story started circulating, like, at the 1 year mark, it's going to reset to 0. I was like, dude, that really sucks. I mean, it'd be cool to show my wife. They'd be like, "Look, honey, I'm not playing it that much. See, it's a, Breath of the Wild, 0 hours. I only played it for 5 minutes, whatever." But no, very strange that bug was in there. But it's good to hear that it's still recording accurately, despite the fact that it's displaying inaccurately.
Yeah. When I first heard this story, I was like, "Wow, there's a lot of weird things that Nintendo does, and this is right up there with them." It's like if after 1 year they wipe your playtime, like, that's kind of savage. But it's good to hear that it sounds like this is just like a quirk in the system and not really the way it was intended to be. So yeah, really glad to hear that. Yeah, and it's one of the cool things about the Switch that you can see your playtime and stuff when you click on these games. So it's good that that's still going to be a feature moving forward, and they just need to come out with a firmware update for that. But yeah, happy to hear that can be fixed, and it's not some devious plan that Nintendo had from the beginning to wipe your playtime from the system's memory.
Can you imagine if like PlayStation or Xbox were like, okay, after 1 year, we're going to wipe out your achievements and your trophies for the games you haven't played for like 6 months. So yeah, we're going to wipe those out. Can you imagine if something like that happened? Oh my Lord.
I cannot, no.
I don't want to live in that world either. So But that's pretty much it for the Nintendo Direct. We had a lot of stuff to talk about. There was a lot of stuff shown. It didn't really blow me away. There were a couple of games that stood out, boys. But overall, what were your thoughts on the Nintendo Direct?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm excited about Smash Brothers. But we don't know anything about it. We don't have anything. For all intents and purposes, this was just a logo. Yeah, I mean, it was a cinematic reveal, but we don't know anything about the game, who's in the game, anything other than the Inkling characters are in the game. So that was cool. It was a cool way to end the Direct, and kudos to Nintendo for finding out a way to just keep themselves in the headlines. I think they've paced their Directs, in a way that there's kind of always something Nintendo in the news. So they've kind of figured out a way to do that. Now, if they could just fill in some of the stuff around there, like getting their online system together and virtual console and all that kind of stuff, then they'll be firing on all cylinders. But yeah, as far as the Direct, man, I wasn't super blown away by it either, just because as a multi-console gamer, I have a lot of these games already on the PlayStation 4, and I've played them, months ago or years ago or whatever the case may be. So I'm not as excited to get them on the Switch because I don't play the thing in portable mode, really. I'm gonna play this stuff docked, and that's kind of like it's like the Nintendo exclusive stuff. That's the stuff that's gonna get me more excited. Like when we see Pokemon eventually, and when we see Smash Brothers, like that's what I get really excited about. So I think for the either the hardcore Nintendo fan who just eats, breathes, and sleeps Nintendo, or to the Nintendo fan that only plays their games on a 3DS or on a Switch, they probably really, really enjoyed this Direct. To players like us that play games on other systems as well, and play a lot of games and are really in tune with the industry and what's coming out on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, then this is probably not as exciting of a Direct. And that's kind of what I think we see the results of that bear out.
Right. Well, hopefully next week we'll have Frankie and Ben out. We can get their thoughts as well. I'd really like to hear Ben's thoughts as well as Frankie's. So I'm sure we'll tap into this topic next week as well to get their thoughts on it. So we're going to take a quick break. We've got some music here from JD. All right, JD is providing some music for the podcast this week. So here's a track from JD from the Play and Listen Gaming podcast, and we'll be right back. Welcome back. Thanks again to JD from the Play and Listen Gaming podcast for submitting that beat there. He's a very talented dude, man. He makes some good tracks.
I can take these earplugs out now. Is what you're saying? JD's song is over.
Hey, JD does some good music, man. We really appreciate him sending in some tracks, man. It's good stuff. We'll be featuring his stuff whenever we can. But make sure you follow JD on Twitter at Play and Listen, and check out the Play and Listen Gaming podcast. It's available on iTunes and SoundCloud. Very, very good show. It focuses on video game music, and it's a fantastic show. JD's a hell of a good host. So, JD, thanks again for providing the music, man.
Thanks, JD. I'm just playing. I love you.
All right, let's jump right back into the news. First up, it's official. Call of Duty Black Ops 4 has been confirmed.
Black Ops. I.
Bender took offense to that Roman numeral usage for Black Ops 4. It is not what you would expect. It is I, like you said. And strangely enough, boys, this is releasing worldwide on October 12th, almost a month sooner than when it typically releases.
What's got Black Ops running scared, Brent?
I think we know. We'll talk about it in just a second. We're going to talk a little bit more about Black Ops 4, but Activision said developer Treyarch will hold a special event on May 17th to reveal the game, and it will launch the game will launch on PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC on October 12th. Call of Duty comes out every single year, generates a ton of money. There are 3 Activision-owned studios that make these games, and this year it's Treyarch's turn. It made Call of Duty Black Ops in 2010, Black Ops 2 in 2012, and Black Ops 3 came out in 2015. So, and funny thing, before we talk about that date, this all started a day before, boys, when the NBA on ESPN tweeted out a short video of James Harden just, getting ready for a game, walking into the arena. And, I mean, he's decked out in, like, camouflage clothing, and he's wearing a hat that I at first, when I saw the video, I was like, oh, he's wearing a Black Ops 3 hat. But then you look closely, and you see the 4 symbols instead of 3 forming the Black Ops or Black Ops symbol. And everyone started talking, dude. That sent waves across Twitter. Everyone's like, oh, my God, is he rocking a Call of Duty Black Ops 4 hat? And sure enough, the next day it gets revealed, and that is the symbol they're running with. So this all started with James Harden just walking about wearing a hat with the Black Ops 4 insignia on it. So that was really, really funny. But, boys, let's get back to what you mentioned. October 12th. Now, Call of Duty has owned not only the year, but the month of November. That has always been a staple month for Call of Duty. It rounds out at the end of the year. It's typically the last big title of the year.
It's the first Friday in November every single year is Call of Duty Day.
But now it is October 12th, and you and I were like, immediately like, whoa, what is up with that date? And, boys, does Red Dead Redemption 2, does Rockstar have the ability to scare Call of Duty?
I guess so, man, because it did it. Red Dead Redemption 2 is set to release October 26th, and, man, to see even the mighty Call of Duty just run in fear from that release date is really staggering. And we're talking about a franchise that is basically the best-selling franchise every single year, bar none. You know, it's always the king of the heap when it comes to that. So that tells you right there the clout that Rockstar has, and also how they think that Red Dead Redemption 2 is going to perform. This is going to be a huge title. And now, Brent, we're looking at the prospects of an October where probably within the span of a couple weeks, we're going to get a brand new Call of Duty, a brand new Battlefield, and a brand new Red Dead game. It's going to be a very, very busy October. Good gosh.
What the hell's going to come out in November?
I don't know. I wonder if people are now thinking like, if all these guys are coming out in October, maybe this gives us a little bit of an opening into November now, and maybe some other games can sneak in there. But yeah, maybe Smash Brothers comes out in November.
That's the first game I thought.
A possibility.
That's the first game I thought when Smash Brothers was announced. I was like, that's got to be the November game. Nintendo can put Smash Brothers out in November, and it's going to sell a ton of copies. Yeah. If there's anybody that's not scared of Rockstar, it's Nintendo. And they know they can put out Smash Brothers in November and run away with it.
Yeah,
no
question.
Especially now that there won't be. I mean, they could pick the middle of November, close to Black Friday, and not have a major release come out after October 26th when Red Dead Redemption 2 comes out. Nintendo would have November to themselves if they really wanted to go that route.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. For a minute there, I thought too that maybe Sony had an opening to slip like Days Gone into there in like the latter part of the fall. But we'll talk about what happened with that game a little bit later. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I was personally really surprised, man. I can't remember the last time Call of Duty released when it wasn't the first Friday in November. It's had to have been a really, really long time. But yeah, I guess just the gravitas and the respect that Rockstar and Red Dead demand is just on a whole other pedestal, man. I mean, when they can kind of dictate where Call of Duty releases, that's when you've arrived.
Man.
when you start to do stuff like that, that's pretty wild.
It's just so strange because yes, I understand Rockstar and I understand Red Dead Redemption is I love the first one, and this game is going to be a big hit. But it's still two distinctly different genres. Red Dead Redemption, like Grand Theft Auto, is an open world action game. and this is going to be taking place in the Wild Wild West, and they're going to have Red Dead Online. And there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be playing that. But Call of Duty is like the first-person shooter. One of the most popular genres there is, if not the most popular genre in the world, is first-person shooters, and Call of Duty owns that genre. And the fact that they moved their game 2 weeks prior to Red Dead Redemption to get out ahead of it by 2 weeks is just staggering. It's hard to fathom.
And I think, even though these are different games, it's just Rockstar with Grand Theft Auto and with Red Dead, they've been able to tap into just like this universal crowd. Like they capture the hardcore, the casuals, whoever it is. It's like, if you want to be part of the conversation, if you want to be like doing what everybody else is doing, like you're buying Rockstar's newest game. You're buying Grand Theft Auto, or you're buying Red Dead Redemption when those come out, because you want to do what your friends are doing. You want to be part of the conversation. They've just figured out a way through their games to just speak to just the widest audience possible. So, and Call of Duty does the same thing. They're there for the casual shooting fans. They all know Call of Duty, and they have a hardcore group that plays the game religiously and is online every single night and racking up kill counts and playing the game professionally and all that kind of stuff. So they've been able to tap into both of those crowds the way that Rockstar has as well. So I really think when all is said and done, those two games are actually going to be speaking to the same exact players, because they cover such a wide range and a wide base with their like core player.
I'm going to be interested to see how well the gaming industry does in 2018 now that we have Red Dead Redemption 2, that we have Call of Duty. We have Call of Duty back at the top where, after a successful run with World War II, you're going to get Battlefield 5. This is going to be a massive launch for Battlefield. And now you throw Super Smash Bros. Into the mix. And whatever the hell else comes out, Pokemon comes out. I mean, the industry itself is looking at possibly its biggest year in terms of revenue ever.
Another possibility, Brent. What if in November we see a little guy that does whatever a spider can? Like, what if we see Spider-Man slip into November or sneak into there and just dominate the last half of the fall there? Is that a possibility?
That's a possibility, but I think Spider-Man would have a harder time against Red Dead Redemption than Call of Duty would, because Spider-Man's an open world game. And Sony has marketing deals with Call of Duty and Red Dead Redemption, so it'd be strange for them to release that at that time. I just don't think that would play into what Sony's trying to do with their exclusives. But hey, man, if November is wide open, you put it near Black Friday, especially like a Spider-Man bundle. Maybe they do hit some have some success there.
Yeah, I mean, if you release a little bit later in November, you put a little bit of distance between yourself and these three like huge titles. If you come out, like you said, November 17th, November 18th, like just before Black Friday, you'd probably have a very successful run in there. But I don't know. When all is said and done, though, I look at Spider-Man as being a game that we should see this summer. We should see it in July or August, or maybe even it's the first big title of the fall. Maybe it's a early September release. I could see it being in there as well. But it's a game that deserves to kind of be in its own release window, in its own stratosphere, and not have a bunch of other like big titles around it. So we'll see what Sony's ultimate plan is. But I feel like the way they're pacing these games, like they had Shadow of the Colossus in February, we got God of War coming up in April. Detroit now coming up in late May. Like July, August sounds like a good spot to drop Spidey in there.
I mean, it makes sense, because we know now that Days Gone has moved out into 2019. That's going to leave Sony one more window to drop one of their big exclusives, and like you mentioned, the summertime seems more and more like that's going to be the good spot to drop Spider-Man.
Let me ask you this too about Black Ops 4. But what do you think about the way this all went down? I mean, clearly they probably told James, was like, hey man, wear the hat to the game, or we're gonna get like a viral marketing campaign going. So whenever you get a chance, you wear this hat, and we'll get the talk started. What do you think about the way they did this, though? They said that we're going to get the official community event reveal is going to be in May, around the same time it always does. And they gave us the release date for the game right now as well. and that's it. Like they gave us this small teaser as well, which we should probably mention, which looked like it just contained scenes from the previous Black Ops games.
Mm-hmm.
One of the scenes though that they highlighted in there was a zombie scene. So
Mm-hmm.
to me, that makes it seem like zombies going to be a part of this once again, unless they just simply wanted to put that in there for the sake of like revisiting history in terms of Black Ops. But I feel like that's a pretty clear indicator that zombies is going to be the bonus mode in Black Ops 4 once again. But what do you think about the way that they did this? Was it a little bit strange that they came out with a teaser announcement that told us the release date of the game and the date that we're going to see the actual game revealed?
Yeah, it was kind of an unorthodox approach to it. I mean, it's not something that we're familiar to seeing. But the other thing that I thought was interesting when they showed that teaser trailer is the caption on Twitter. It said, "Forget what you know." And then it says, "Forget what you know," and then it shows all these scenes that we know, scenes that we recognize. So I can't help but wonder if that's a hint at what to kind of look forward to with Call of Duty Black Ops 4. Is this going to take place in like an alternate reality? Is this going to be something? Because it says, "Forget what you know." Is this going to be just a completely new story? Is this going to be something different? I mean, that's what I took from that. When I saw that tweet and it said, "Forget what you know," and then it shows a bunch of stuff that we've seen that we already know. It seems like that was going hand in hand. Forget this stuff that you know. This might be a completely different Black Ops experience.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. It did say "forget what you know," and now obviously with the success of World War II, I feel like they're not going to go any further into the future. If anything, they're going to go backwards, right?
Mm-hmm.
To try and capture that same audience that they've been able to get back in the fold with World War II. So, yeah, maybe it's just something as simple as them going into the past, or maybe there's a whole new set of mechanics or things that we're going to be looking at, or maybe maybe they showed us the zombies and told us to forget about it because there's not going to be zombies in this game. Who knows?
Mm-hmm. Forget
Anything's
what
possible.
you know. That's what I took from it. It said, "Forget what you know," and it showed a bunch of stuff that we associate with Black Ops. And so, like I said, I don't know what to expect from this. I don't think it'll be futuristic, though. I think you're right. I don't think they're going to go into the future. They've learned their lesson.
No way.
It's all played out, man. If you want futuristic stuff, you play Titanfall or you play Destiny. That's all futuristic sci-fi stuff. Games that do it better. Call of Duty always should be boots on the ground. They established that with World War II. I wouldn't be surprised if it's something Vietnam-based or Cold War era-based with Black Ops to kind of not go back as far as World War II, but somewhere in between modern and just after World War II. So, but no, it'll be interesting to see. But it was a strange reveal. The James Harden thing I thought was hilarious just because James is just dressed in straight camo, rocking the hat. And it was interesting. But, yeah, everything else now going forward will be basically what we expect from a Call of Duty reveal. We'll see something during the NBA playoffs and then, something big at E3.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that this either benefited or hurt the game one way or another? You think it really doesn't matter with the way that they revealed this?
Yeah, I don't think it matters. I mean, it's Call of Duty. Just as much as Rockstar can do whatever they want with when they release their game, Call of Duty can do whatever they want to reveal their game. It doesn't really matter. People are just going to go out and buy it. Especially with the success of World War II, it doesn't matter what Activision does and how they promote Call of Duty.
Yeah, definitely.
So, but that was the first of some big stories that dropped on Thursday. The next thing we got, the Division, Ubisoft is celebrating the 2-year birthday of the Division. That's what we're going on right now.
2 years.
And so Ubisoft held a stream, kind of talking about focusing on the Division's roadmap through the rest of 2018. And at the start of the stream, they had the creative director and the director of the Division on the sofa, and they're like, "Hey, we got we have an exclusive announcement to make." And and as I'm watching, I'm just like, "Oh, it's probably something like we have a new mode or something cool." And no, they just flat out said the Division 2 is in development. I was like, "Whoa!" I mean, just a couple weeks ago, we were talking about Ubisoft. Some of the developers were like, "No, we're not really talking about. We're not doing anything with Division 2 right now. We're focusing on the Division." Then a month or two later, boom, here it is. We're working on Division 2. And dude, this has been in development for quite some time. we heard from them during the stream. They talked about a couple things. Why a sequel now? And the creative director, was saying things like, we have many stories we feel we can tell in the universe of the Division. There's a lot of things we can talk about, experiences we want to share. They also said, it's an incredible opportunity to take everything we've learned from the Division 1 and apply it to a new game and kind of like create a game that the feedback they've gotten from from gamers and create a game that's more in line with that. They've also said that the Snowdrop engine is more capable today than ever before. The Snowdrop engine from 2014 or 2016, whenever the Division came out, is a completely different engine now, and it can do a lot more, and they've got a better grasp of it. So why not try to get the Division 2 out and showcase a better looking, better running game? And they also mentioned how many studios. They have a ton of studios working on this game. Massive. Yeah. Red Storm, ANSI, Ubisoft Reflections, Ubisoft Shanghai, Ubisoft HQ, Ubisoft Sofia. I mean, there's just and there were a few more that they mentioned. Some of this stuff is the stuff that they use to outsource small things for them to work on. But there's a whole lot of people, a lot of studios. I mean, this game's in full development. And people, and they asked, how long has this game been in development? And they basically came out and said, fundamentally speaking, they had a small group begin working on this just after the launch of Division 1. They had a small group of people working on the basic fundamentals of what they want the Division 2 to be. And so it's been in development for a little over 2 years now, boys.
Interesting. Yeah. And, live right here on the podcast, Brad, I can confirm that you and I are opening Ubisoft Detroit, and we are also going to factor into the creation of the Division 2. So, I just want to pat you on the back for that. I'll pat myself on the back as well for opening up Ubisoft Detroit. No, but it's we've talked about the interesting history that the Division's had on this show before, man, where it was a game that came out, was incredibly popular when it came out, broke all kinds of Ubisoft selling records, it's 6 million copies, whatever the number was when it first came out. So was a huge hit when it first dropped. Then it ran into these problems, ran into the cheaters, to the glitches, to the things that kind of ruined the game, and people just mass exodus from the game. Mm-hmm. And now over the last 2 years, Ubisoft has attempted to right this ship, because clearly the Division is part of their plans, their long-term plans, and this is something that they want to continue to visit and iterate upon. So 2 years later, here we are, and they've continued to build up the Division. They've continued to release expansions and to work on the core mechanics of the game and get it to a point where people could really be engaged with it and have a good time with it. And now the Division's probably in the best place it's ever been in. Like, people really like the game. There's a lot of people that swear by it, especially in the face of some of the issues people have run into with Destiny. Like, they're looking towards things like the Division to get their massively multiplayer, always online shooter fix. Mm-hmm. So it's been really interesting just to watch all this play out over the last few years, man. And I'm really curious to see what they do with the Division 2. Like, is this simply more of the Division 1 as we see it right now? This Division that many people are enjoying, or are we going to see them, really like take things to the next level, take some risks with the Division 2, maybe some different risks than Bungie took with Destiny 2. Like, are they gonna continue to cater to their audience with the Division 1 and just kind of ramp things up to the next level? Like, where is this going to be set? That's the stuff I'm interested to see. So I don't know a lot about the lore of the Division. I kind of fell off of this game very early on. Didn't get to play through the story or do a whole lot of it. The story and the characters, I just could not get into with the Division. It was more of that, like, Ubisoft garbage military talk that they do, military banter, which is these just cardboard characters that nobody gives a rat's ass about. So I got a lot of that from the Division early on. It was something that was incredibly disinteresting from a narrative perspective. Mm-hmm. Like, I like the idea of the Division, and I like the idea of the world that they're trying to create, but yeah, just had zero interest in this game narratively. I'm much more interested in something like Destiny, who obviously we've talked about the narrative issues with that game, but the lore and the world they've created is much more interesting than what we find here in the Division. So that's always been something I've had trouble getting over the hump with this game. So are they going to be able to take that to the next level? Are they going to be able to make a story that's much more interesting? But yeah, I'm really curious though, man, where they go from here and what the Division 2 looks like. It sounds like we're gonna get our first glimpse of it at E3.
Yes, at E3. Now, I want to ask you something, boys. It's something I've been thinking about since this Division 2 announcement. I mean, this was even more impromptu than what we saw from the Call of Duty announcement. I mean, this is just a couple of guys sitting on the couch getting ready to talk about the Division 1's roadmap, and they just kind of let it loose that Division 2's in development. No like major announcement, just right here on this stream. Not a lot of people were tuning into this stream, so I mean, it was just a strange place to make that announcement. Now, I want to ask you something about this, boys. I mean, we talked about Anthem a couple weeks back, how Anthem at one point was close to being canceled. I mean, early on in development, there was a lot of talk this game isn't going to come to fruition. It's never going to come out. And then Destiny came along, kind of set the precedent with this, these live games, these games as a service, that it's constantly evolving, constantly adding stuff to it over the course of its existence. And then at that point, we wondered if maybe that's what kind of kept Anthem alive. Like EA saw the popularity of Destiny and how well it sold, and how it kind of just took the market or the industry by storm, and gamers flocked to it and fell in love with it. And so now Destiny 1 was a massive success, and the Division came out, and it didn't quite catch the pull in the crowd that they had hoped. It kind of had a difficult time establishing what it wanted to be. And then, the Taken King came out, and Destiny just kind of like took off, and everything. It seemed like Bungie had a firm grasp on the genre. They were in in control of everything. And then Destiny 2 came out, and Destiny 2 had a strong launch, but since then it has just kind of Bungie just continues to stumble over themselves trying to figure out what Destiny should be. And at that time, Anthem and more news has come out. They have a big reveal at E3, and they show you all this stuff, and everyone's really hyped for Anthem. And Destiny 2 is continuing to struggle, and now you have the Division guys going, hey, we're making the Division 2. I can't help but wonder if these developers are really trying to cash in on Destiny 2's struggles right now and make these announcements to get these fans excited. Hey, look, Destiny 2 didn't give me what I wanted. They bailed on us. Anthem's coming. The Division 2 is coming. Dude, if we're going to see something at Division, if this game's been in development for 2 years and we're going to see something at E3, I got to believe this game is coming out soon. This has to be at some point coming out soon. And if you have the Division 2 and Anthem possibly in 2019, Destiny is on the ropes. These developers are trying to win that audience over, because a lot of people walked away from Destiny 2. These developers are trying to get into people's minds saying, hey, look, we have what you need.
Yeah, it's an interesting thought, and I wouldn't be shocked if that was some of the motivation here. So I'll tell you what, man, like hearing this announcement, reading it, and reading about some of the things that have been going on with the Division and what they're planning to do with this roadmap, it got me excited about the Division. Kind of made me want to go back and play that game and test that again. So it's working in that respect, getting people excited about the game. But yeah, I think there definitely could be some of the sharks, smelling blood in the water kind of thing going on with the industry here, with this genre, which is obviously incredibly popular and a gateway to billions and billions of dollars in this industry. So if you see one of the stalwarts, one of the heavyweights kind of stumbling and making some mistakes, I think it's only natural that you would, look at your studio and the game that you're making and be like, man, we really have an opportunity to capture this audience. Let's get on top of this and try and take advantage of it. So, I mean, I'd be shocked if the Division 2 came out like really soon. It's only been, like you said, 2 years since the Division. These games are massive. And if they're committing to make a full-on sequel for the Division 2 and not simply just like an expansion for the Division or a glorified, new version of the Division, which is basically the same as the old version, if they're really committed to making like a brand new Division 2 sequel, I feel like this thing's going to need a little bit more time in the oven at least, and at the earliest we see this in the fall 2019 or something like that, especially with Anthem being in there. And like in presumably March 2019, like the Division's going to want to give itself a little bit of distance from that game. You don't want both of those things just kind of coming out at the same time, cannibalizing each other's sales or cannibalizing their own audiences, because they're speaking to the same group of people that are looking for these particular games. So yeah, I don't know, man. It was, like you said, it was a strange announcement, and it was really weird that Ubisoft didn't hold this for like their last like E3 reveal that they typically do at their conferences, right? The last game they show you is always a surprise. And to me, if they roll out the Division 2 at the end of that press conference, the people are going to get really hyped about that, especially if it's a sweet trailer. People are going to get really, really excited, and that probably would have been a more impactful way to announce the Division 2, because clearly it's not going to be out before E3. So why not just hold it for the last game in that conference, and people are really going to be excited about it and really going to be talking about it when they show that trailer, as opposed to right now everybody's just kind of playing catch up. Like, Ubisoft's in the middle of this weird stream. They're talking about the Division roadmap, then they just said Division 2's in production. Some guy just randomly said it on a stream that 100 people are watching. Everybody's like, what? So then everybody's playing catch up to try and get the news story out. It was strange, man. Whereas if they would have did it at E3, like it would have made a huge splash.
You know what makes a huge splash at E3 though, is if they come out and say the Division 2 will be out in spring or summer 2019. That would make a huge splash. That would be like, they'd be like, wow, that is really, really close. And the reason that I wouldn't be surprised if they did announce that, because, dude, if you've got the fundamentals on, you've been working on the fundamentals since Division 1, you've been learning from the mistakes, and you know what you need to do the second time around. You know what your community wants. You know how you're able to kick a game out once you have all the concepts and fundamentals down? You bring in 9 different studios to help with development. That's how you get a game out right away. So the fact that they have...
Including Ubisoft Detroit,
we will be handling the writing. If you think the writing was terrible then, wait till you see my version of these characters. Oh, my goodness.
Oh, yeah. Dude, I can't wait to see the Brent Felsing Ubisoft Commando. That's going to be awesome.
No, it just, that just like you mentioned, though, why announce it now? That would have been a huge thing at E3. That tells me they have something really big to show at E3, and that would be a date that's sooner than anyone expects. And the fact that they have all these studios working on this game that's been fundamentally in development since just after the launch of Division 1, it's not out of the realm of possibility to expect that. Destiny 2 was in development probably right after the release of Destiny 1. I mean, you got to think that, and 3 years later, Destiny 2 is out. So it's not out of the realm of possibility to have the Division release in 2015 and have it, or 2016, and have it come out in 2019.
Definitely not out of the realm of possibility. And man, who does Ubisoft have left to make any other games? How many studios do they have? It seems like they're pulling all hands on deck for this one.
I mean, they really don't have to. I mean, you look, Rainbow Six Siege is going to continue to make them money. You just need one group of people to work on that to make a couple of operators and a new map every couple of months. Ghost Recon continues to self-sustain itself with added content, so you just have a couple people working on that. Ubisoft has freed up themselves to work on like a big title like the Division 2 because they have so many other titles that are just kind of like updates here, small updates here, small updates, and then Assassin's Creed comes out. You have a big group of studios working on that. Ubisoft's in a good position right now, man. They've got a lot of stuff games that kind of just self-sustain over time, and then you can release these big titles every couple of years.
Yeah, they're in a great position, and like we mentioned earlier in the show, it's like they've just figured out a way to just keep people engaged with their titles far after the initial launch date. And man, then you start thinking about Ubisoft's press conference and like, all right, if they're going to tell us the Division 2 is coming right now, like, what are they saving for that thing? Like, are we going to see Splinter Cell? Are we going to see that reemerge? Are we going to see a new Assassin's Creed that they haven't talked about? E3 is literally 3 months away. Like, we're much closer than I realized personally. Just thinking about it, like, man, 3 months. We're going to be doing E3 stuff.
Can't wait, dude. It's always an exciting time. All right. We've been hung up on Division 2 long enough. Let's talk about the Division's one's roadmap for 2018. We've got a couple of things we need to address here. First up, in April, update 1.8.1, which also includes an Xbox One X patch and the implementation of classified drop rate changes discussed on a previous State of the Game. They are also introducing 2 new legendary modes alongside a new global event, Blackout. So that arrives in April. In May, you can expect a new global event called Onslaught. In June, update 1.8.2 will introduce 2 more legendary mission modes and bring back global event Outbreak. This update also marks the beginning of a brand new Shields monthly feature in which achievements earned playing The Division will grant special rewards in The Division 2. That's in June. You can earn stuff for The Division 2 already in June.
That's interesting.
Mm-hmm. July, Global Event Assault with the continuation of Shields. In August, Global Event Strike with the continuation of Shields. And then September, Global Event Ambush with the continuation of Shields. So we've got a lot of stuff lined up for The Division. This game is being supported for the remainder of the year. But yeah, that June thing, man, where you can earn achievements, which will grant special rewards in The Division 2. That's interesting.
Yeah, very interesting, and that's definitely going to bring some people into the game. I'm sure people are, getting excited about The Division again. They're hearing about The Division 2. They said that's in June, right?
Mm-hmm.
So obviously that's E3 month. So after people see the Division reveal at E3, they're going to be like, "Oh man, I want to get some stuff for The Division 2." They're going to go into The Division, hop in there, try to get some of that stuff. So yeah, it all makes sense.
Man, really interesting stuff. And a couple more things regarding Ubisoft. Horizon Zero Dawn producer Samrat Sharma is joining Ubisoft to work on an unannounced game. Game Industry Biz reports that Sharma, previously a senior producer at Guerrilla Games, has left the studio to move to Ubisoft Toronto. Sharma has worked at Ubisoft before on Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Phantoms and Future Soldier. So obviously Sharma is no stranger to the Ghost Recon series. Here's a statement he made. I am excited to join the team at Ubisoft Toronto, who are working on some very interesting games and offer me a chance to continue my focus on leading teams and plan franchise businesses. I will miss Guerrilla and the amazingly talented people in the studio, and I wish them all the best for their next projects. Quote. What's your thoughts about them adding on Sharma, man? Obviously, somebody who's very familiar with the Ghost Recon series. What? Any idea what you think Sharma might be working on?
No. I mean, I don't think there would be another Ghost Recon in the works. I mean, I'm sure there's another one in the works, but nowhere near being released anytime soon. I don't know, man. Ubisoft Toronto, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what he joined.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think, what have they done in the past? Has it been Assassin's Creed or?
They've worked on Far Cry 5, Watch Dogs 2, Far Cry Primal, Far Cry 4, and Assassin's Creed Unity, and Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell Blacklist.
You don't say, huh? You don't say.
Uh-huh. Boy, and a lot of those games, which one haven't we had a new version of in a long time, boys? I would have to say that's Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of possibilities here. Is Toronto typically a support studio, or are they like the lead development for these games? I don't. You can't keep up with all the Ubisoft developers. I don't know who develops what.
That I couldn't tell you.
Yeah. It's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, been a lot of talk about Splinter Cell, man. It's been, according to this, 2013 since we've seen another Splinter Cell with Blacklist. So we're going on 5 years now. This year, it'll be 6 years next year. It's about time for Splinter Cell to come back into the spotlight.
Yes.
I wouldn't be shocked at all if Splinter Cell appeared at Ubisoft's E3 press conference this year, and we finally, get our first glimpse of what that franchise is going to look like on a next gen system.
I think that would be a much bigger one more thing as opposed to the Division 2. I think a lot of people were anticipating the Division 2 was going to be back at some point, or it was going to come out at some point. We haven't heard from a Splinter Cell game since Blacklist, so it's been quite a while. And I think that would be a mighty big one final thing to show, because we need some more Sam Fisher in our lives, like ASAP.
Yeah, they could come out with a trailer. Michael Ironside is back, and all this kind of stuff. They could get people excited about that one. But yeah, I could definitely see that. More than likely, that's going to show up on my E3 predictions list.
Oh yeah,
at some point, Splinter Cell making a return to the Ubisoft press conference. We shall see.
And plot twist, they're going to motion capture Michael Ironside 2 for the game.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You get bold proclamations.
Can you imagine how terrible the animation would be?
Yeah.
Just would not look right at all. Yeah. All right, so that's going to do it for the Division. Boys, let's get into some Destiny 2 talk. Bungie had another this week at Bungie post go up, and we talked a little about Update 1.1.4 and what to expect. A lot of focus on the Crucible and some good stuff in here because I'm really excited about one of these things you're going to talk about.
Yeah, we got the Crucible Sandbox update coming with 1.1.4. There's a lot of good stuff in here, dude. This update, or at least for this week, they decided to focus on the Crucible and the Sandbox, which are the two biggest components, I think, with this upcoming update. So let's hear first from senior Crucible designer Kevin Gaines in terms of what he's thinking about in terms of what they're doing with the Crucible here. So, Kevin says this: I'm dropping by to share the details on the rest of our changes heading into Update 1.1.4. As Derek mentioned in last week's This Week at Bungie, Iron Banner, Rumble, and Mayhem are making their triumphant returns to Destiny 2 with a few twists. Iron Banner will become 6v6. So, Brent, this is the last time that we're going to play Iron Banner as a 4v4 game activity. The next time it returns, and it will return this season. So the next time Iron Banner returns, it will be 6v6. Rumble will be an 8-man Rumble, if you remember. So it won't be 6 players. There'll be 8 in there. Mayhem features 90% fewer Nova Bombs. This issue was fixed during the Dawning. If you remember, there was a glitch during the Dawning where players could throw infinite Nova Bombs. That was obviously a pain in the ass if you were not one of the ones doing it. But it was funny, though, to be in a Crucible match and just see people in the distance just throwing Nova Bombs at each other. It was pretty crazy. And once again, Rumble has welcomed 2 additional players into the fray. There's a lot to get excited about, but something the team really wanted to do was go back and refine the core experience. Looking at the feedback, it was clear that the community felt there were 2 key areas for improvement with the Crucible. 1 is time to kill, and 2 is team shotting. What the hell is team shotting?
So I read that, and I don't know what the hell team shotting is.
Cool. So we set our sights on reworking systems, mechanics, and value to tackle those areas. So first of all, with the time to kill. So in the Crucible, we saw that it mostly stemmed from a lack of excitement or spikes of intensity that you've all have come to expect from a Destiny experience. This is in terms of the core feedback about time to kill. This came in the form of feedback that stated the game was too slow or the core loop was too stale. We agree and have worked with Sandbox to increase the pace of Crucible as a whole. Josh is going to speak on all of the Sandbox changes here in a bit, which we'll talk about, and I won't steal his thunder. So alongside all the great changes the Sandbox team has made, we're setting our sights on making the Crucible a faster, more dynamic, more action-packed experience on the activity side. And Brent, we've talked about this a little bit in the past, but I think these are some exciting changes that are coming to the Crucible in terms of making this a faster experience. So, Respawn and Revive were tuned in all game modes. So, respawn timers reduced across the board. Power ammo respawn timers were adjusted across the board. Get this, man. Power ammo respawn timers in Iron Banner have been reduced by 50%. So that means double the power ammo is going to be available. Reduced by 30% in quick play modes. Reduced by 40% in survival and 25% in countdown. So across the board, more power ammo is going to be available, which means more like those mayhem-producing weapons are going to be at our disposal. Ammo counts have been adjusted in relation to these timers and in relation to the weapon type. Enemy players now drop their power ammo on death, which we've talked about in the past. But what about competitive? During the development of 1.1.4, we realized that we'd reduced team shotting in quick play and Iron Banner effectively. We hadn't quite done the same to competitive, however. Knowing this, we looked for a change that reinforced the following goals: reduce team clumping, reward individual plays, and incentivize flanks. With those goals in mind, we took a big step in shifting the gameplay in competitive and trials. Starting in 1.1.4, Brent, we've opted to remove the tracker from all competitive and trials game modes. All.
Yes.
So the competitive playlist and Trials of the 9 will now be completely tracker-free. Your thoughts on this?
I love this. Now, look, I think the tracker is a cool idea, but the reason that I don't like the tracker is because it eliminates the reward for flanking.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you have a group that's holding down, for example, in the Iron Band, I can't remember what map it was, where those guys were in the circle and we couldn't make any progress. Remember, they kept just launching the flame and they put the shield up.
Yeah, we were on that map on Mars, where the like choke point was in that room. That was, once you got in there, you just owned the map.
And that's a cool strategy, and I don't mind that. But the fact is, you could not flank because of the tracker would indicate, hey, look, there's people moving to our right. There's people coming up behind us. Mm-hmm. That when you flanking is a legitimate tactic in online shooters that works very, very well if your team implements it wisely. It can change the course of a battle. It can give you an advantage when you desperately need one. There is no flanking in Destiny 2 right now because the tracker eliminates it. You should be rewarded for thinking tactfully. You should be rewarded for saying, hey, okay, look, my team's getting held down here. We can't get out. I'm going to flank, and I should get rewarded for getting the drop on the team who's trying to pin my squad down. Flanking is an awesome maneuver, and the tracker completely eliminates it. I don't play too much competitive, but when 1.1.4 drops, I will be playing competitive because I love the fact that the tracker will not be in a part of the equation.
Yeah, and I think this is just a smart change, man. It just makes sense. Like, competitive and trials should not be held down by the tracker or by the radar, right? Mm-hmm. Like that stuff should not be there in an environment that's as sweaty and as competitive as it is in the competitive and trials game modes. Mm-hmm. So I think this is a really smart change. It makes a ton of sense, and this is something that fans, especially of those two modes, I think like you, Brent, are going to get really, really excited about this stuff. This is going to make it much more tactical, much more it's going to be much more reliant on team communication to figure out what the plan is, what you're going to do, how you're going to flank, how you're going to tackle this guy. Your teammates have to call out where they're seeing other guys on the map. Like, all that stuff's going to come into play. It's going to be just a much more team-oriented activity than it was before.
It's going to force you to communicate more. It's going to really force you to communicate and talk with your team. And if there's one thing I wish, if they could keep the tracker, one thing I think they should do, especially in the casual side, if you want to make the tracker, only make it appear red if you're shooting. Mm-hmm. If you're shooting off your gun and you're giving away your position, then you should totally show up on the tracker. But if you're just flanking and moving around tactically to gain a tactical advantage, you should not be punished by the tracker. Shooting, dude, fine. I don't care. If I'm shooting my gun off, giving away my position, I should show up on the tracker. Just remove it if you're not shooting. I can't stand that because it gives away your position. And dude, I don't know how many times you've noticed it, but man, when you flank somebody and you're not shooting, dude, more often than not, they start shooting before I even come around the corner. Yep. Like, as soon as you come around the corner, they've already unloaded. They're already starting to shoot, and you don't really know it right away until it's too late. And you're like, oh my gosh! And I think I think that's cheap. I just don't like that. So if you want to keep the tracker up, that's cool. Just remove it to the indicator unless you're shooting. I think that would be a happy medium for everybody that everyone would be okay with.
Yeah, I could definitely see that, and Bungie just took it one step further. Like,
just remove it completely.
We're just taking this thing out completely. And I just, once again, it makes sense for the competitive and the trials modes. That radar is still going to be there in the quick play setting, which is the more casual matches. So I think that's the right way to go, man. It's kind of the best of both worlds. You get the casual players still get their radar, still get to deal with that kind of stuff. The hardcore players, they're going to have to take a few extra steps before they, lay the hammer down on their enemies. Mm-hmm. So it makes sense to me. So so that's one of the big changes in terms of the Crucible that's coming up in 1.1.4. Now we need to talk about what they're doing in terms of the sandbox. There's some really interesting stuff in here. So this is Josh Hamrick, who is, once again, he is the design lead in Destiny 2, part of the sandbox career. So the first thing you should know, we are very excited for this update to go live. After weeks of solid playtesting, some with external participants, we feel like this is really shaping up to be an update you will be happy with. A huge shout out to everyone involved that helped the list of possible changes grow instead of shrink. Also to those who playtested and gave us quality actionable feedback. So, Brent, when you read a sentence or you hear a sentence like that, and you hear Bungie pulling in prominent members of the community and play testing this with people that are actually playing the game, and they're getting the positive feedback on it, and people are excited about it, does that get you even more excited to see what this is going to look like?
Yes, because the prominent people are the hardcore people.
Yeah.
Those are the people they want to retain. Those are the people they want to bring back into it. So those are the people you need to play test with and get the feedback from, because chances are they're speaking for a lot of the hardcore people that are really pissed off about Destiny 2 right now. So when I hear that, that's proactive, that's good thinking, that's touching on the most important base of Destiny 2, the hardcore, and I think that's a key move.
Yeah. So let's go through now what they're talking about with this sandbox update. Now there's some things in here that we've heard about before. Things like the catapult and strafe lift, getting buffed. The mobility stat being changed completely. Stat range has been expanded and completely retuned. In short, everyone gets faster and the high end is higher. The player's ground speed cap has been increased, allowing for faster total movement regardless of how you may get there. We talk about the Arc Strider, the Sentinel, the Striker, all moving faster. The Arc Strider, faster attack animations, faster dodge animations, increased range of attacks. So that one just getting buffed across the board. But I'm really excited about the movement buff, man. Like we were talking about this the other day when we were playing Destiny. The fact that they're going to go in there and retweak the mobility stat and actually make it useful. Right now, mobility is just utterly useless in terms of Destiny 2. It doesn't seem to affect your character one way or another, so I'm excited that they're going to go in there. They're going to speed up the overall game and make the movement stat, it sounds like, be useful once again. So really excited about that. The previous shoulder charge changes are being reverted once again. So shoulder charge can be used as a movement mode once again. Now they've added a whole bunch of stuff that they're looking to do here. So Dawn Blade getting buffed. It's been improved. Reduced cost for throwing swords, allowing one additional throw. Increased super duration extension gained from Everlasting Fire. Removed all in-air accuracy penalties while Swift Strike is active. Reduced the Icarus Dash cooldown. And increased grenade and melee energy heat rises give you per kill. So, lots of buffs to Dawnblade there. That's all stuff I'm really excited about as a Warlock player. Invisibility, Brent. Here's something interesting for hunters. Invisibility on dodge smoke updates. So, invisibility on dodge no longer breaks aim assist or projectile tracking in PvP. This is unchanged in PvE. Dodging still breaks both aim assist and projectile tracking, but only for the duration of the actual dodge. Increase the duration of invisibility on dodge by 1 second, and increase the duration of smoke bomb invisibility by 1 second. What do you think when you hear that stuff, man? Any concerns as a hunter player? Does that sound like good stuff for you?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds really good. I mean, I do wish the invisibility was a little bit more invisible. I still feel like from any distance, if you're invisible, you can spot the hunter. I feel like that kind of negates the purpose of being invisible. I mean, I don't want us to be completely invisible, but I mean, at this point, I mean, you can spot somebody you can spot a hunter from anywhere as they move around. I mean, it's pretty obvious they're invisible, so it just seems like a moot point. I would like to see the effectiveness of the invisibility work a little bit better. I don't want to be invisible for super long. Obviously, that would be a major game-breaking bug. But if you, it's an ability that takes a while to recharge. It should be a little bit more effective.
Yeah, definitely. How about this one, Brent? This one's really exciting. Supers now recharge a minute 40 faster.
Oh.
A cooldown reduction of 25%. So supers recharge faster for everyone. Now, in the Crucible, if you're a good player, you probably get your super twice, maybe if you're lucky, over the course of a match. And that's it. That's if you're like an A caliber player. The rest of us, we pop our super once. That's it. That's all we're gonna see for the entirety of that match. So, by reducing it by another minute 40, I think this definitely gets us to at least 2 supers per match, which I think is where the game needs to be. So, excited about that.
Yeah, and if you take that time increase plus masterwork weapons, you're going to get you're going to see it increase a little bit. The one thing I wish they would change, and I think it would help out in Crucible to help supers be more prevalent, would be not to have the orbs disappear every time you die. Because that's what happens in PvE, and I'm assuming that happens in PvP as well, is if orbs are available on the field and then you die, the orbs are gone. You can't collect them.
Yeah.
So instead of, but I'm not saying let them sit there forever either. Kind of do what they're doing with the power ammo. Power ammo, if you kill somebody now, power ammo is going to be laying on the ground. So you, on your team or on the enemy team, you guys can pick up the power ammo. However, the power ammo won't remain there for a long period of time. It'll disappear after a while. I think they should do that with orbs as well. I think that would help increase the supers.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't have to worry about the time,
Yeah. No, I'm with you on that. I think that makes a lot of sense. Maybe we'll see that in a future update.
That'd be sweet.
We'll see. And then mods that reduce grenade, melee, and class ability cooldowns have been buffed to allow for 2 times faster cooldowns. So,
wow.
Once again, this is not replacing mods 2.0, which was recently delayed. There's still a whole bunch coming on that front, but this is something that they're implementing here with the 1.1.4 update. Now, Brent, one of the things we've talked about, and one of the things we're really excited about, is the buffs to the weapons and the archetypes. And they've outlined some of those here. Pulse rifles, one of the ones I'm most excited about because they're not where they need to be right now, and I would like to see them return to prominence. So increased PvE damage for all pulse rifles. Increased rate of fire for adaptive and high impact pulse rifles. Increased base damage for adaptive, high impact, and rapid fire pulses. Increased precision multiplier for lightweight pulses. Decreased precision multiplier for adaptive pulses. This keeps precision damage close to where it is right now, putting most of the buff into body shots, though it is still an increase in precision damage overall. So, I mean, when you hear that, man, sounds like pulse rifles are going to be pretty beefy when all is said and done here. So, excited about that. Scout rifles, increase PvE damage for all of them, and increase base damage for high impact scouts. Hand cannons are getting buffed. Increase PvE damage for all hand cannons. Increased precision multiplier. Increased hip fire accuracy. Increased ADS accuracy. Sidearms. Increased PvE damage for all sidearms. Increased hip fire accuracy. ADS accuracy. Inventory size. Minimum range. Added an ADS movement bonus. SMGs are getting buffed. They got a PvE damage bonus. Optics set to 1.3 times. Increased inventory size, allowing more reserve ammo to be stored. Linear fusion rifles are getting buffed. Increased PvE damage for all of them. Increased precision multiplier. Increased aim assist. Reduced flinch multiplier. Shotguns getting buffed, Brent.
Wow.
Increased PvE damage for all shotguns. Increased inventory size, allowing more reserves to be stored. And increased aim assist for Suros precision shotguns. Sniper rifles, you say? Those are getting buffed too. Increased PvE damage for all snipers. Increased precision multiplier, aim assist, and inventory size. Grenade launchers are getting an increased blast radius. Assault rifles are getting decreased range and aim assist stats for precision autos. So that's stuff like Uriel's gift. Base damage is not changed. A few weapon perks are also getting some updates. The one I want to hone in on here is Rampage. Increased PvE damage and increased duration, which is awesome. Rampage is an ability which, when you kill an enemy, it gives you a damage buff, and you can stack it up to 3 times. But if you're not constantly killing enemies, that thing goes away like that. Snap of a finger, Rampage is gone. So to see that getting extended is really, really exciting. Kill clip has increased damage. High impact reserves increased damage, and so on and so forth. But some good stuff there. They also mentioned the mod rework still in the pipeline, still in the planning stages. That'll arrive sometime this fall, more than likely. And they mentioned this is not the end either, Brent. No, this is just, they're really excited to get this one in our hands, but this is just the first leg of this journey. There's a lot more that's going to go into this. This is kind of the first step to bring back or to address some of the concerns and comments that the Destiny community has had. So once again, man, I'm excited to see where this stuff goes. I'm excited to get in there when 1.1.4 drops on March 27th, update my system and see what it's all about. But I just think Bungie continues to make smart decisions with Destiny 2, and I can't help but wonder, man, like if they're just building up to this big fall update, and when we get that fall update, a lot of the stuff that people are complaining about and a lot of stuff they want to see from Destiny 1, I feel like all that stuff comes back into the fold with that fall update. It's got to be a huge update. They've got a chance to make another Taken King style turnaround with whatever comes out in the fall. So,
Mhm.
but in the meantime, I'm gonna be playing Destiny 2. I'm gonna be having a good time with it. I'm gonna be enjoying it, and can't wait to play some more Iron Banner and see these changes coming to effect in a few weeks here.
Yeah, dude. I'm excited to see where it goes. Like you said, just baby steps. Get it back to where it needs to be. Attack each area of the game one at a time. Make it what the community wants. Take the feedback from the playtesters, from the prominent community members, and just mold it, baby. Just mold it. Get it back to where it needs to be, and don't make this mistake with Destiny 3, please.
Please, just listen to your hardcore community. So, what do you think about all those buffs, man? What stands out to you, or is there something that you want to see them tackle that they haven't mentioned yet?
Off the top of my head, what I want to see them tackle in terms of buffs, I think everything sounds good. I mean, everything we heard there, I like the improvements to pulse rifles the most. I mean, that's a big standout. I hope the accuracy thing with the or with the sniper rifles won't turn into kind of like a quick scoping scenario. I saw a video up on the site, and the guy was. I'm gonna assume the guy was girl was really really good at sniping, but they were like quickly aiming on the sights and the sights and just pulling off headshots. And I don't want to see quick scoping in Destiny 2. I hate quick scoping. It ruins every game I play. I hope they're not trying to go that route because it's just terrible. So,
Yeah.
But the buff to the SMGs I like as well. I want to start getting better with SMGs, but the pulse rifles is definitely the standout.
Yeah. That was interesting too. That when they talk about increasing the base damage for all this stuff, it specifically mentions PVE.
Mm-hmm.
So PvP is separate from a lot of the stuff. I'm guessing that the other things like the precision multipliers and the hip fire accuracy and stuff that applies to everything PvE and PvP. But they specifically mentioned only PvE for the damage buffs for these guns. So I thought that was interesting. The other thing I want to see them tackle, man, is grenades.
Yes.
I just my grenades need to be stronger than they are. I feel like especially in the Crucible, man, I'm just running around throwing grenades at people. It's not even dropping their shield. It's like, we should at least be able to get the shield down with a grenade toss, you would think. But it's just it's a bit absurd right now. Definitely think we need some more power behind those grenades.
Well, it is a grenade, so you would think.
Yeah,
it's a grenade.
Yeah.
Those typically kill people.
They typically do, yeah. They're typically pretty powerful.
So, really good stuff from Bungie this week with this update. We're inching closer to that 1.1.4 update, March 27th. Can't wait for it. I'll be playing competitive multiplayer without that tracker. I want to be able to flank and be rewarded for my efforts at helping the team. So,
and you'll have more power ammo available while you're doing it. So
yes,
when you're flanking around and you got a shotgun in your hand, you can start really just eviscerating people without them knowing you're coming.
Just gonna do work, baby. So good stuff, boys. All right, and to wrap up the show, we got a couple of games we want to talk about. First of all, State of Decay 2 will launch on Xbox One and Windows PC as an Xbox Play Anywhere and Xbox Game Pass title on May 22nd, 2018. State of Decay 2 Standard Edition will be available for $29.99, and fans can also purchase State of Decay 2 Ultimate Edition for $49.99. This includes a 4-day early access beginning on May 18th, along with 2 add-on packs, Independence Pack and Daybreak Pack. These will both be available at a later release date on both Xbox One and Windows PC. The Ultimate Edition will also include a download token for a bonus copy of the console version State of Decay Year 1 Survival Edition. State of Decay 2 can be pre-ordered starting today at your favorite retailer site or at the Microsoft Store. Both of those, the Standard and Ultimate Edition. Gamers who pre-order between now and May 21st will also receive some exclusive in-game pre-order items. So, we're going to have 2 versions. $29.99 for the base version. So, what we saw recently, there was a post that there would be a lower price over in the UK. It's now been confirmed over here in the US. The Standard Edition, $29.99, and the Ultimate Edition, $49.99. Boys, what's your thoughts on those prices? I mean, this is supposed to be a very ambitious title. This isn't just some budget title. I mean, this is a full-on State of Decay experience with co-op this time.
Yeah.
And at $29.99 for the base version, man. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'm still unsure what to think about this. I know we live in a different day and time than we did in the past in terms of video games. So it used to be when you got a budget price title like that meant a certain thing about what kind of game it was or what kind of you know just standards you could expect from that game. But nowadays, obviously with PSN, with Xbox Live, and with the wide variety of games that come out, you can get a game for $5 or $10 that's robust, has a ton of content in there, and it's a really really good game. So it's tough to gauge exactly what to think about this game at $29.99. I guess I'm just curious if this was the plan all along. Like if this was the plan all along to have this game be $29.99, if that's how they envision this title, to either try and drum up support for it or maybe just the content that's there, the budget that's there, necessitated a $29.99 price. I don't know. I feel like this is a little bit trickier though when it comes to like actual like retail releases. I feel like Ratchet and Clank on PS4 that was was kind of an outlier, an anomaly in terms of this. But typically, when you have a retail game and you release that at a lower price, it's just it's a lower priced retail game, and it has it's not as polished and not as big of an experience as your normal like AAA retail game. Like I said, Ratchet and Clank is definitely the exception to the rule there. That was a $40 game that offered a hell of an experience for that price. So I don't know, man. I really don't know what to think of that price. I don't know if that tells us like the amount of content that's going to be in this game. I don't know if this is just a play to get more people excited about this. We have the Game Pass, how that factors into all this at $10. I don't really know what to think about it at this point. What do you think about that price?
I had the same discussion a couple weeks back. So I was on the Iron Lords podcast. I was able to sit down with those guys, and we actually talked about because they actually broke the news as it happened with the UK pricing showing up at a much lower price, and we talked about that, and and we mentioned the same thing you just mentioned. It's kind of hard to sit there and look at a price of a game and assume that it's going to be a crappy game just by its price. I mean, when you look at games like Sniper Elite 3, when that came out, that was a budget title, and we both really enjoyed that. We thought it was a really, really good game. And even though Hellblade isn't at retail, that was another budget title, but it was a fantastic experience. But now in regards to an Xbox exclusive, I can't help but wonder if these retail prices are a direct result of Game Pass, because you can pay $10 a month and have this game available to you right away. But at the same time, Microsoft doesn't want to kick out a retail version, have it sit on the shelf. They don't want to just say, okay, let's put this out there for $59.99. No one's going to buy that if you can get it for $10. It makes it very difficult. And but at the same time, Microsoft's like, look, there's guys that want to buy these games for their collections. There's people that like to, and there's people that just flat out like buying retail. It's a lot easier to say, hey, here's this game for $29.99, because they're still going to make a lot of money on Game Pass. For the people that are subscribing to Game Pass over the course of a year, they're going to make a lot of money off of that. And it's a lot easier to download the game and just play it at home. But I mean, it's a lot harder to sell those games to these stores. I mean, they gotta create these games, these retail versions. They gotta sell them to the stores. They gotta get them in stores. But you don't want it to sit on the shelf at $59.99. Because it will. It's just going to sit there for $59.99 with Game Pass out there. When you drop it down to $29.99, it's a little bit more appealing for people that want to buy retail, that people want the disc, or maybe they don't want to subscribe to Game Pass. I just think at $59.99, that game wouldn't even move off the shelf, considering all these games are included in Game Pass.
Yeah. So, I mean, by that logic, should we, for the foreseeable future then, expect Microsoft first-party games when they come out to be priced around this price? Be like $30 games?
For a game like State of Decay, it doesn't, no, it wouldn't surprise me. But I mean, at this point right now, I believe Sea of Thieves is still $59.99 at retail.
Yeah, I believe so.
So obviously, it's not carrying over to all games. And I would be shocked if like a Halo 6 came out at like $29 or $39.99. So I guess my logic isn't too sound there now that I think about it, because Sea of Thieves is still $59.99. But, it's just I don't want to sit there and say it's a quality thing, because it's not. I don't think that's an argument. I think that's long gone. I think that's a dead issue now in terms of like comparing or suggesting the price indicates the quality of the game. But I won't be surprised if it's some of these second tier, I will call them, because State of Decay is not a Halo, it's not a Forza, it's like kind of like that mid tier exclusives. So for something like this, I'm not surprised by it. It makes sense. But Sea of Thieves is supposed to be a very big game, so that's probably why that's still 59. I want to see what Crackdown's going to be. That's going to be one because Crackdown is a big game amongst Xbox gamers. I'll be curious to see what Crackdown 3 price is when that launches. That's the one I want to see. State of Decay 2 will feature one of the most requested features from the community, cross-platform co-op, where you and up to 3 of your friends can survive together on Xbox One or Windows 10 PC. Boys, do you have any experience with the State of Decay games?
I don't. Just looking at it, it doesn't seem like it'd be my kind of game. I know it didn't resonate, with you, the first one. The first one was pretty janky, I think, right? People talk about it as not a technically sound game.
Yeah, when I picked it up on the Xbox One, I played it, and I didn't really it didn't resonate with me. And the fact that it didn't have co-op, that was really off-putting. There's a lot of management in State of Decay that was also off-putting, and like you said, it just didn't look too good for on an Xbox One. So, it didn't really resonate with me, which is surprising because it's a zombie game.
Yeah. So, I obviously it's still going to be a State of Decay game, so there's going to be management elements and managing your people and your survival and all that kind of stuff. So I'm sure that that's going to be there. But I'm curious though about this with the advent of it's 4-player co-op, right?
Mm-hmm.
In this game,
mm-hmm.
The advent of the 4-player co-op and like a bigger, bolder vision for this game. Curious what it could be. So I mean, once again, if I'm subscribed to Game Pass and this game's in there as part of my $10 subscription, I'm definitely going to give it a whirl for that. See what it's all about. I probably won't go out and shell out for the Ultimate Edition of the game, but I could part with the $10 for Game Pass and give this a whirl and see how it plays.
Oh yeah, I mean it's the Ultimate Edition I wouldn't get anyways. I mean, like I said, I have no interest in the first State of Decay. If I did buy it retail, I would just buy the regular version for $29.99. But like you mentioned, I'll have Game Pass at the time for $10. I'll download it. And if I like it, hey, that's awesome. We like it for $10. All of us will play it. And co-op makes everything more appealing, doesn't it? I mean, you look at State of Decay 1. I was just like, I couldn't really get into this. But you mentioned co-op. Okay, now I'll wait to see what people are saying about it. And if I got Game Pass, I'll download it and try it with you guys. So, May 22nd, State of Decay 2 will be on shelves and on your Xbox One and a part of Game Pass.
What do you think about that release date? Is that a good one for that game?
Yeah, May 22nd sounds about right. That sounds good for something like that.
Yeah.
But a quick shameless plug regarding Game Pass. We are running a contest on the website right now for a 3-month subscription for Xbox Game Pass. So go over to the website, www.shortpause.com. You'll see the article right there on the front of the page. Go in there, sign up for it, and we'll do a drawing on March 18th, Sunday night, 10 p.m., for a copy or a 3-month subscription of Xbox Game Pass. And shameless plug. Boys, tell me about Days Gone, man.
Days Gone, Brent, is now officially a 2019 title, according to an article on US Gamer. And we alluded to this earlier in the show that Days Gone had been delayed.
Mm-hmm.
So this is from the US Gamer article. Initially scheduled for a 2018 release, the official website for Days Gone now lists 2019 as its date of arrival. When they reached out to Sony for comment, and a spokesperson confirmed the change. Days Gone will now be releasing in 2019, and we will keep you updated on the launch date. So, interesting, Brent, because obviously Days Gone has been in development for a very, very long time. Sony Bend has been working on this for who knows how many years at this point. It's been a really, really long time, and I'm okay with Days Gone not coming out in 2018. We just talked about what the fall is going to look like in the rest of this year with stuff like God of War, with Detroit, with Spider-Man, with Battlefield and Red Dead and Call of Duty and all of these games that are coming out this year. There's going to be plenty to play in 2018. So I have no problem at all with Days Gone not making it into 2018. But you start to get a little bit worried about this game because it's been in development for so long and it's getting moved again to another year, or has Sony proven, with their track record in the past that look, they're gonna let their developers develop the game as long as they need to until it's ready. And if that takes 6-7 years, then it is what it is. The product speaks for itself at the end of this journey. Where do you fall on that spectrum?
A little bit of that, but I look at the schedule that we got so far this year. We've got Shadow of Colossus in February. We have God of War next month. We've got Detroit in May. Now, watching or seeing what Sony has done the last 2 years, that leaves them June, July, and August before the fall rush of games, and they let their third-party marketing deals take over for the rest of the year in terms of pushing the consoles. If Spider-Man is coming out this year, it's going to have to be at some time between May and August. If we're going by the same model, that leaves very little room for Days Gone. That leaves little to no room because I don't think there's any way they put out a game like Days Gone in the fall amidst all those bigger titles, especially with like Red Dead Redemption. Days Gone is an open world game, so I think Sony's looking at it from this perspective. Not only does it give them time to polish, but I just don't think they have a place for it this year. I don't think there's a spot for it. Spider-Man is definitely coming out this year at some point, I believe. And they have with the release schedule that we know so far, that leaves very little room for Spider-Man and Days Gone. And if you look at next year, all we know about is Days Gone and probably The Last of Us 2. So you're setting up early 2019 with Days Gone and The Last of Us 2, and you kind of get that vicious cycle starting over again, where they load all their big first-party stuff up at the beginning of the year. Yeah,
I mean that makes sense to me. I feel like Days Gone and The Last of Us probably need some space between them. So maybe one of them's at the beginning of the year, one of them's towards the end of the year, or maybe even The Last of Us slips into to a 2020 title. We could also see Death Stranding next year as well,
right?
In 2019, and then I think the big elephant in the room as we're talking about all this is the next PlayStation. When are we going to see that? When are they going to start talking about that? When does that start factoring into it? But I feel like we've got this run of games up through The Last of Us Part 2, whenever that comes out, and then after that, man, we got to be looking at the next console after that. I think so. I feel like, I don't know. Do you feel like at this point, like all the big games for this generation for the PS4 are probably announced, and the next run of first-party titles are going to be in development for the PS4? Or we got Ghost of Tsushima as well. That still hasn't come out, so we got that on the docket. So man, there's still a lot of first-party games to come out.
Let me ask you something, boys. Out of those titles, The Last of Us 2, Death Stranding, Days Gone, Ghost of Tsushima, out of those titles, which one of those do you think would be pushed back to a PlayStation 5 title if we're in fact that close? Or do you think all those games, those are the big four games of like 2019?
Yeah, 2019, 2020, like I could see some of those going into 2020 as maybe like the last hurrah for the PS4 before the PS5 comes out. I could definitely see a fall 2020 launch for the PlayStation 5. I think that would make sense in terms of the way they have it all set up. That would have been a 7-year run for the PS4, which is about right for a generation that they said was not going to go on as long as the previous generation. But at 7 years, it will have gone on as long as the previous generation. So, I guess the one I could see slipping the furthest is Death Stranding. Just because that's Kojima's crazy, and who knows what he starts adding to these games as we get along. We still haven't seen any actual gameplay from this game, so we don't really know how far along Death Stranding is. So I think if anything got moved into or was a simultaneous launch with PS5 and PS4, it would probably be Death Stranding.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I think that's either that or the dark horse, and that would be Ghost of Tsushima. So
yeah,
that would be my other guess. But no, man, just interesting to see Days Gone get pushed into 2019. 2019, though, shaping up to a big year. If in fact those 4 games are slated to come out in 2019, that is a monster year. And if this is indeed the pattern Sony's going to go forward through the rest of this generation, you're going to possibly see those 4 games between January and August.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's crazy.
And you've got Anthem in there as well in 2019, and potentially a Division 2 or something in there as well. Who knows? It could be any number of things. I mean, we're probably looking at another Halo in 2019, right?
Yep.
It seems logical that Halo 6 would emerge at some point in that time frame as well. So yeah, gaming just kind of keeps rolling on, man. Once you finish up one year and one set of games comes out, that's the beauty of it. There's a whole nother set of games just waiting for you the next year. So it's a good time to be a gamer, man.
Yes, indeed. Well, that's going to do it for this week's show, Mr. Boyce. It's always a pleasure to run a 2-man game with you. Where can the viewers and listeners find you gaming and tweeting?
As always, Brent, I will be not tweeting at Piccolo930. It's also my PSN ID, so you can find me on there. You can find me on the Switch and the Xbox at Piccolo930 as well. The Indie Spotlight, we run every Tuesday night at 10 p.m. Eastern on our YouTube channel. So make sure you come on over there if you like what we do. Subscribe to the channel so you never miss an episode of the Spotlight. Not sure exactly what we'll be playing this week. We'll play something, though, at 10 p.m. Eastern. We'll see you there. Come on, chat with us, leave comments. We love to talk to you guys.
Awesome. You can find me on Twitter at TheDude1979, Xbox Live, TheRealDude79, and the Nintendo Network and PlayStation Network, TheDude79. Make sure you visit the website, www.shortpause.com. Make sure you enter in to win a 3-month subscription of Xbox Game Pass. A drawing, again, will be next weekend, March 18th on Sunday at 10 p.m. We'll draw one winner to win a 3-month subscription to Xbox Game Pass. So visit the website, sign up there. And then also check out our YouTube channel, Short Pause Gaming, Twitch, Short Pause Gaming, and Mixer, Short Pause Gaming. We're always streaming to those channels. We always have content going up. We're going to try to start streaming every single night if possible. Boys is at the Tuesday Night Indie Spotlight. We have the Destiny stuff on Wednesday nights. I know Frankie and Ben are getting ready to start knocking out Monster Hunter on Thursday nights. This Friday, you should probably expect a Kirby's... What the hell is this game called? Ally Star?
Star Allies.
Yeah, Kirby Star Allies on Friday night. You can listen to this podcast on iTunes, SoundCloud, TuneIn, Google Play, and Stitcher. If you like this podcast, if you really like it, go over to iTunes, give us a 5-star rating, write out a nice review. If you're not ready to give us a 5-star rating, that's totally cool. We want to earn it. We don't want any fake ones. Send us an email, podcast@shortpause.com. Feedback, criticisms, questions, anything. We need to hear from you. It's the only way the show is going to get better. We want to make this show the best show that you never want to miss every single week. You can also follow Bender on Twitter at Bender_guitar. And Frankie's on there as well at Viper Strike. Make sure you follow those guys. They'll be back next week. We'll have a good show planned for you. Can't wait to get those guys back on the show. For Mr. Boyce, I'm Brent Felsing. Thanks again for watching. Have a great night.
See you guys.